No negotiations, it's my way, I was born impatient. And like a damn Freemason, I'll run this nation.
They call me a god. They call me a god. They call me a god. They call me a god.
I don't know how to stop, I just go till I drop. Whether it's working or shots, give it all that I got. You can watch me work in my element. Anyone in the way is irrelevant. You wanna cross me, cool, not intelligent. Cause I don't forget shit like an elephant. Go ahead and tempt me, put it on the line and you'll come up empty. If I got time, I'm deadly. Never caught off guard, no, I'm always ready. I got a hand real steady. Look me in the eye and you'll see no hezzy. About to get real messy. I'll put you in a grave 6 feet like Kenny.
Moves, right? What up, yo? Let me see what I got here. I'm gonna play in the background. Yeah, let's brainstorm some shit, yo. Let's brainstorm some shit. Yeah. First off, let's delete the chaos and shit. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. You gotta make sure you cleanse your palate before you eat this fucking nasty shit we call reality. Straight up. Yeah. Hell yeah. I'm tapping in. This is actually tapping in right here. When you get to the point where you are working off of like a half an hour to an hour of sleep over a 48-hour period, it's weird because you start to connect the two minds, conscious and the subconscious. It's weird because you start seeing shit. You start actually like contemplating shit you wouldn't normally contemplate because it's not like you're exhausted, especially when you're like me. I sleep like 17 hours sometimes. You know, it's an exercise actually when you can sleep that long and then stay up that long. It's like a marathon on both ends. When you're sleeping, most people, they can't sleep past the 8-hour thing. You gotta actually practice it. And if you ain't practicing it, then it seems like it's impossible. Because when you're practicing it, you're actually rehearsing how you're going to stay awake. Because it's pretty much the same effect. When you're tired, you go to sleep and then you dream that you're still awake. So what I'll be doing is I condition myself to sleep for long periods of time. And if I can't do it in one night or afternoon and night, I'll break it up throughout the day. Because tipping the scales on the awake time and the sleep time, and then you got this shit that they call daytime dreaming. Daytime dreaming is something different from nighttime dreaming. Because when you're nighttime dreaming, you're actually going into this canatotic state. So you almost don't have control over it. But when you daytime dream, you have a little bit of control over it because you're almost cognitive to actually being asleep. Yeah. And then when you do like a stretch, like what I'm doing right now with being awake, it's almost like you have like an insight on some shit. You have an insight on some shit. Like, for instance, I was talking to Rashad last night about this, the trickster gods and all that stuff, and how what we perceive, what we read, how we perceive what we read. It's weird because we can't understand when we trying to perceive what we read. That's why we have to tap into the to that subconscious. Because if you ain't tapping into that subconscious, it's like you walking in the dark. And see, a lot of these gurus, they've been able to tap into that shit, and they've been doing it for so long. You become a pro at it, a pro at conditioning yourself to be able to. Goddamn. Condition yourself to be able to, recognize subtlety, because I think they doing subliminal shit with us. I heard something about YouTube is banning the word them and they and stuff. How are you gonna describe motherfuckers you don't know who they are? How you gonna describe them if you don't use these pronouns? And we was talking about this too last night. They made pronouns so accessible, so prevalent in people's lives, and it became so ridiculous. You have people calling themselves shit that they could not even be or attempt to be, and we had to accept it because that's their right to believe whoever they want to believe they are. And now they gotten to the point where they say you can't even use pronouns now. You got to figure out some other kind of way to describe an anonymous motherfucker that you don't know exactly who they are, but the signs and the symptoms are out there that show you that something or somebody exists. So that's making shit happen behind the scenes. So when we get ready to describe the shit to somebody, we got to figure out something. We got to figure out another way to describe it. If we don't figure out another way, we ain't gonna have no way of describing it, because eventually they're gonna make all of this shit. There we go again. You know what I'm saying? The government's gonna make it illegal for you to say certain things. That way you're gonna lose your right to say stuff in the first place. It starts on these platforms with us, because they can make a policy on these platforms and then have that policy come to fruition in the real world. They can make a lot of these habits and triggers become, something that really affects everybody at one time, man. That's how COVID was able to happen. Everybody felt like, so you can't even say everybody either, because then you're just like you're saying they. Everybody's triggered by a word or triggered by an action. And I saw a video of a guy coughing out the window as people walk by, and the people that was walking by got so triggered by it, they just took off like they were gonna fucking run. They was eating ice cream and shit. You know they threw that ice cream away. And see, if you think about it, that's a form of hypnosis. These people would think that somebody up on the second or third floor, coughing by the window or coughing out of the window, it can make it down there to your dumb ass. It can make it down there to your dumb ass, and you think it's landing on you and infecting you and shit. That's how they have us, man. They have us in frenzy. We're in a frenzy over bullshit, over some fake shit. It's hilarious how we sit back and worry about shit that's kindergarten shit. Oh, germs are gonna get me from the sky. They spraying shit on me that's gonna make me sick. That's kindergarten shit, man. You got more to worry about with the motherfucker right down the street from you. If you worried about something like spraying in the sky, affecting you on the ground, man, we are so done. We're so done. Just think about it. By the time whatever they spray in the sky makes it down to the surface, it's not going to affect you. It's going to probably affect whatever's downrange. So wouldn't it be better if the motherfuckers was spraying above you and not uprange from you? We'll get tired of it, and eventually we'll revert back to our original state. We was also talking about the different forms of communication too, as well. And my hypothesis is that we started off omnipresent. We started off knowing everything, being everywhere, experiencing everything, and and also being an individual at the same time. Omnipresent, like the same thing they say about God. We started off in that state as well, and then we evolved. See, evolution is mental; it's not really physical. It's not going to change your body. You're not going to grow two noses or four lips or some shit like that, or three eyes. You'll just develop mentally. So if we were omnipresent before that, after omnipresence, we became clairvoyant. We became, we developed telekinesis. That was a form of communication. After the telekinesis, we understood the subtleties of body language. So we started utilizing body language. And overall, it's a form of de-evolution. I mean, because if you were at, omnipresent and you knew everything, knew everybody, connected to everything and connected to everybody, then you were as advanced as you can get. You were advanced as you can get. There's no more advancement than that. So the only option you have is to de-evolve. You see what I mean? To revert to the basics. So after omnipresent, we were clairvoyant and telekinetic, and then we utilized body language, and then we utilized hand signs, and then we utilized what I'm utilizing right now as voice, speaking, and now we're in the stage where we're going to a more primitive form of communication, which is technological communication with cell phones, texting. Texting is actually primitive. Texting is like using a easier typewriter. It's just like using a typewriter. So typing is primitive. Stamping shit is primitive. We stamped shit and put it on paper because we had a hard time of expressing it vocally. But once we learn how to express it vocally, now we're capable of giving people impressions with words, and it's becoming more of a art than it is a a form of necessity, like communicating for necessity. It's becoming an art. It's like we're using it as a privilege or as an alternative to something more base, like typing or stamping or drawing and shit. So after we get past the technological communication, which is very, very primitive, to tell you the truth, cell phones is very primitive because we're like number five on the scale with cell phones. If you go backwards, number one is omnipresent, which means that you communicate with everybody at all times. But we had to dumb down in order to be able to survive as a species of people. Because if we stayed omnipresent, everything would affect us at all times. We would have no break. So it was a benefit to dumb down and shit. Because even though we were omnipresent, people are human. They have base instincts. They take advantage of one another. So if somebody is being taken advantage of in that state of omnipresence, meaning that everybody's connected, they all know what each other's feeling, they all can communicate with each other at all times, then if that person that's closest connected to you is being taken advantage of, you being taken advantage of too, because you can feel the person suffering. You know what I'm saying? So we had to dumb it down in order to be able to shut that part of our senses off and shit. It's almost like a benefit to be dumb, to be primitive or basic and shit. Because most people think is, you know, being connected to everybody is high speed when it's not. It's actually slowing you down. If you could look at somebody and know what they're thinking based off of, being connected to them that much, even with some type of clairvoyance or telekinesis, then that's way faster than picking up a phone and texting somebody and shit. Now you talking about a thought that quick. So it's all bringing us full circle back though. So after we get through the phones, we're gonna go into something that's a little bit more that we're considering technologically high tech, but it's actually more primitive. Neuralink. We'll be going to some shit like Neuralink. And in Neuralink, you're damn near almost to the omnipresent type of reality because in Neuralink, you'll be able to open up a screen and see all the players in your realm, in your domain and shit. So the next step beyond that is omnipresent. And then we start the whole cycle back over again. Clairvoyance, telekinesis, and then body language, and then hand signs, speaking, back to the cell phone thing again. All this shit is a repeat, man. It's all a repeat. Everything we're doing right now is a repeat. And see, the thing that I don't like is when it's being taught that we're moving forward, when in actuality, we're moving backward. Forward would be where we were at before we got to this point. We're actually moving backwards. We're losing our intelligence, just like we're losing time, just like we're losing our life. We're losing intelligence. The object is, in my opinion, is to slow down this process. Make this process as gradual as possible. That way you can adapt mentally to becoming dumber, if that makes sense. Because people that are dumb are more curious, which makes them smarter. Because when you're dumb and you know it, you're always trying to learn shit to become smarter. So it's actually advancing you as well. It's like the yin and the yang, the snake chasing its tail, going in a circle. The closer you get to that apex where the mouth of the snake grabs the tail, the faster the snake is traveling. So you're speeding up. But what ultimately is the snake doing? The snake is consuming itself. So it's actually destroying or disintegrating or dumbing itself down or dimming itself. It's dimming itself by destroying itself. So when we realize that process, we have to step in consciously and figure out a way to slow that shit down. The only way I figured out to slow it down, at least in my life, is to master my day sleep and master my night sleep. Because ultimately, that's that's I think that's the most important thing. See, and then when I go on these purges, when I like go without sleep for a while, it's like I'm building up my drive to sleep because I'm becoming more exhausted. But see, I don't want to just fall asleep and be uh, oblivious to my surroundings or my experiences. Because most people, when they dream in third person. If you think about it, if you haven't mastered your dreaming state yet, you are actually dreaming in third person. If you can recollect back to when you dream, because most people don't realize when they dream, and so when they realize that they're dreaming, they're in a third person setting. They see themselves being chased in a nightmare, or they see themselves flying through the sky. When you control your dreams, you're in first person. You see through your eyes in the dream versus seeing yourself as an avatar. That right there means you're inexperienced in sleeping. It ain't no realm that you're going to. It means that you haven't tapped into your subconscious enough in order to pull yourself in fully to see out of those eyes in the dream state. The way I found to master that or get better at it is increasing your sleep time and decreasing your awake time. And sometimes you gotta purge because you can get so good at it that it's like the effect wears off. The effect not wears off, but you get accustomed to it. So you can just go in and out of dreams, and it's not exciting. That's why you have to go on purges. Now, I heard somebody say this one time: if you don't use it, you lose it. You know what I'm saying? But they were saying this shit about my hair. They was like, if you keep on cutting your hair now and giving yourself them bullshit ass lineups, you're gonna put your hairline back. And if you keep your hair short, it'll never grow long at some point. So you gotta, you know, ratio it up. You know, you gotta let your hair grow out, and then you gotta keep it short sometimes and shit like that. You know, that's really prevalent in men nowadays. Men are going bald younger. They're losing their ability to grow the masculine, follicle. Because if you look at it, it's actually in reverse than what a woman is. In the animal kingdom, and this is how they fooled us. In the animal kingdom, the lion is the king of the jungle. But the lion has a long mane, just like a female human. The males don't have long manes. We've started to switch that around. So if it's unnatural for the male to have long hair and it's natural for him to have short, coarse hair, then why in the animal kingdom does the lion control everything and also have the long mane? It's because one of those two things is fake, it's false. One of them's false. And what it is it's like a two-headed snake. It's false that the man isn't accustomed to having short hair, and it's false that the mane of a lion isn't fabricated, meaning that it's not bred into him. You know, which brings to mind the question that is a lion a inbred, the male lion, because in America we have mountain lions, and the mountain lions here, the male and the female have the same, phenotype. They have the same characteristics. The mountain lion here looks just like the female mountain lion. Why is the Saharan lion or whatever you call it, their males are different. They have a long ass mane. See, most people don't think about that. They look at it and since they've been showed it and told that it's natural, they believe it. When if you just take the time to just look at it, it's not. The lion cannot survive outside of a sanctuary. You know that? But the mountain lion here in America, them motherfuckers is everywhere. They everywhere. They where you don't even want them. They've been killing them for since we've been colonizing the land, since we've been exploring and expanding out on the land. Mountain lions have been hunted. The same thing with the wolf, and they still can't extinct them motherfuckers. You know why? Because there's so much land that we don't. Outside of sanctuaries, we have no senses of how many animals actually exist. I mean, hell, we haven't even explored the entire landscape of the Grand Canyon. They still say there's 2 million acres of unexplored land in the Grand Canyon. And look, they've been keeping it a secret that they've been hiding damn pyramids and all kind of shit out there. Yeah, my bad. I'm not even watching the chat. Let me look at the chat and shit. I see Zay writing his ass off. Boy, you something else. Appreciate you. What's up, babe? Yeah. Anybody else? We got 7 people in here. Nobody can hit the chat. I hope y'all hitting the like because I'm gonna talk your damn ear off, man. I'm tapping in right now. I'm telling you, I'm semi. I right now I'm pulling what they call a daytime dream because I'm so like right now I could just go to sleep and not even have to even try. And it's not because of exhaustion. It's because naturally the body doesn't want to sleep during the daytime. It wants to sleep in the cover of darkness because that allows every aspect of the body because the skin has to go through some type of uh almost like it's almost like a transfer of energy. I don't know if you guys have ever seen those glow in the dark rings where if you shine a light on them and you turn the lights off, it'll keep the light inside of the ring and then it'll slowly fade. I think that's what our skin is like. If you ever look at somebody putting on sunscreen with an ultraviolet camera, the camera will show that they're actually blotting out their skin. But when you're looking at it without that camera, it looks just like they're just smearing some grease on their face. But you got to look at this video. I'm going to show you guys what I'm talking about. Because when I saw this, it made sense to me that, we pay attention to stuff like this. Let's see, putting on sunscreen in a UV light. Yeah, it's weird, man. Y'all gotta check this shit out because we gotta pay attention to shit like this because we could be doing something unbeknownst, not knowing that it's actually messing us up and shit. I don't mean physically. I think it's messing us up from not receiving the full benefit of what the sun is. That's why people talk about worshiping the sun. I don't think you should worship it. I think you should appreciate it and worship yourself. Because if you worship yourself, you give yourself enough time to appreciate shit like the sun. Because it's such a benefit to you. Salutes, you ready? It's a benefit to you, man. It's a benefit to get in the sun and allow your body to receive it. You don't just receive uh, nutrients from the sun, man. You actually uh, can get knowledge from it too, as well. It's like a trigger. We have triggers in our life that allow us to experience certain things. The subconscious is a big ass suitcase. It carries all the shit that the conscious don't want to deal with. The conscious is continuously trying to data dump shit so you can make room for new shit. But in actuality, ain't no new shit. You just dumping the old shit to get more old shit to put on top of old shit. So, it's a lot of flaky, experiences out here. A flaky experience is one that you can't really gain anything from, but it's perceived as important. Salute Chief 18, King Samo. Yeah. It's weird when you start recognizing stuff like that, because what you're doing is, hold on, let me show y'all the video I was talking about, because I did say I was gonna show this video of these women putting this sunscreen on and not knowing what they doing to themselves. They not knowing that they you know deterring themselves. They actually doing something that's counterproductive. When they thinking they doing something productive, they thinking they're protecting themselves from the sun. See, this camera right here is a UV light camera. It picks up UV light. So you can already see by the complexion of these women, they already have something on their face that's looking like it's repelling the sun. It can't be pigment, it has to be something else. But then watch what happens when they start putting this stuff on their face. Look at that shit. Look, they don't even know that's what they doing. They blotting themselves out. They blotting themselves out. They're actually doing to themselves what nature does naturally with us. You see what I'm saying? But that's not natural though. Putting this stuff on your face to do blackface, to turn yourself black like that, unbeknown to the person that's doing it, is counterproductive, because the creation has a model, and each species that's created is modeled after that model. So there's no imperfections. When I hear people say white people suffering because of the sun, that's bullshit. They're actually thriving just like us, but in a different way. If we're getting nutrients and energy from the sun, then what are they getting from the sun? They getting something from it. If not, they wouldn't be able to survive in it. And then putting this stuff on your skin to fight off something that's considered hazardous to the body. How can the sun give you cancer? This is something I want to think about. That's why I'm bringing it up. I don't care what you guys say about it. How does the sun how does the sun give you cancer? So let's think about it. Can it, when it absorbs through the skin, what does it do to cause cancer? Does it, you know, cause some kind of chemical reaction that creates a cancer cell, and that cancer cell multiplies, creates a tumor, and then that tumor must metastasize and becomes cancer? That's what they teach us. That's what the medical, industry teaches us. They teach us that these things are created because of the environment that we live in, but that cannot be true, because if that was the case, everybody would get cancer being in the sun. Everybody. There wouldn't be no people that couldn't get cancer, black or not, dark skin or light skin. It doesn't matter. If that's the way it worked, everybody would get cancer. If it affects one group of people that were created in the same fashion that you were, that means that in some way you would be susceptible to the same shit that they are. So what I'm trying to say is that it's not the sun that's causing skin cancer. Has to be something in the skin that's contributing to the cancer, because cancer grows. Now, the only things I know about that grows in nature is plants and animals. You know, plants and animals, the only thing in nature that grow. Nothing else grow. You know, think about it seriously. Plants and animals are the only things that grow. And they're telling you that something like a light and the warmth from that light causes hazardous cells to grow inside of your body. That doesn't make sense. Is the light a plant or an animal? Neither one. So it can't implant something into your skin that later on grows into something hazardous to your health. That's not how it works. So it would have to be a plant or an animal that's causing it. So what would have been proven to cause cancer in other parts of the body? And most people that have been listening to me for a while already know what I'm gonna say: parasites. And I've showed videos of them saying that they prove that cancer comes from parasites, not just a one particular cancer. And see, this is what we need to understand: testicular cancer, colon cancer, pancreatic cancer, brain cancer, uh, skin cancer, you know, leukemia, blood cancer. All of these are cancers. They still do the same thing, but they just affect these different parts of the body in a way that cancer affects other parts of the body. So if it's the blood, it overwhelms the blood with toxins. That's blood cancer. If it's the skin, you get tumors and ulcers. That's the cancer. If it's the lungs, you get tumors and ulcers inside the lungs too. Same shit. So how am I gonna say, Zay? That's a good point. How am I gonna say cancer is not real? First of all, I'm not saying it's not real, but I am saying it comes from parasites. Because if a parasite can create a home inside of you, is the home gonna be, you know, is the home that is it gonna be unaltered? Meaning that if it's making a home inside of your tissue of your skin, is your skin gonna be at its same condition with the living entity inside of it? No, it's not. It's gonna swell up. It's gonna become calcified. It's gonna become toxic tumorous. Because you got to imagine this entity is living inside of you for one. So the only way it can live inside of you is if it destroys tissue in order to make a home in the first place. Then it's going to shit and piss in that newly made home that is inside your skin or inside of your tissues. So that right there will cause inflammation and infection. Now that should be a common sense thing for people to get, right? But no, it's not, because people have this innate ability to remember deceptive things. That's why we can't put it out of our mind that cancer comes from cigarettes, the sun, alcohol, you know, and genetics. And I don't believe shit like that, because I know how it looks when a when something is festering. For instance, if I was raising worms like I have before, uh, I would say that the worms, once I put them inside the dirt, will make their homes by digging and burrowing in the dirt. Now, if the dirt was flush, right, and I dropped the worms on top, and when I came back, it had a bunch of little holes in it and shit. They just distorted the soil, just like these worms that they put inside of you. Not they, but the worms that are put inside of you do the same thing. If I'm putting a worm in you, you don't think that it's going to distort your anatomy? You know, You don't think that is going to trigger some type of allergic reaction, some type of allergic response? That's what it is. It doesn't take the sun or cigarettes to stop that. I came to the conclusion like this because I grow tobacco. So I smoke tobacco for flavor because I like the way it smells. It has this dull, earthy smell, almost like a sweet mallow smell and shit. Well, when you grow your own and it doesn't have all them chemicals in it, you can taste that earthy, malleable, sweet smell on your tongue, man. It's crazy. And it tastes so good because it's not harsh. It's almost like smoking sugar or some shit. I mean, you can say you're smoking sugar because the tobacco has a chlorophyll in it that's called, it's a chlorophyll and it has nicotine in it. And see, when we don't experiment on ourselves, we don't realize what the body is susceptible to. Now, there's been experimentation on humans with tobacco and cannabis, and they found that we have an innate ability of dealing with THC, CBD, and nicotine that they didn't know that we could deal with. Nicotine is an astringent. Nicotine is just like, I think it is even part of the nightshade family. Yeah, it is part of the nightshade family. So everybody should know what nightshade is. It's been used back in the day as poison, a strong poison that paralyzes you before it suffocates you, before you suffocate on your own under your own restraint, meaning that it paralyzes you and it paralyzes your lungs, and so your lungs literally suffocate and you die. So nightshade is a plant that comes in different varieties. Tomatoes, part of the nightshade family, and again, tobacco is part of the nightshade family. But you can get benefits from utilizing tobacco because the nicotine, which is a a pesticide, can clear out worms in your lungs, hence killing cancer, lung cancer. And that, to a lot of people, that sounds counterproductive, man, because we've been taught that cancer is caused by smoking, you know, but it's not that. Most of the shit that they putting in tobacco today, like urea, formaldehyde, fiberglass, wood chips, and paper and shit like that, is something that is used to give you that euphoric and addictive trait out of smoking. For instance, for a long time, people say that you couldn't be addicted to marijuana. Now it's becoming more prevalent that people are becoming addicted to it. It's not because marijuana is an addictive plant, it's because of the different chemicals they put in these plants. You know, they're using synthetic pH balancers, they're using petroleum based fertilizers. So, what these things do is they change your body's ability to create enzymes and certain types of hormones. And the body gets used to that. If a woman doesn't create hormones, for instance, estrogen, she start, you know, looking a little mannish and shit. She start looking a little mannish, you know what I'm saying? Start looking like, a little rough around the edges and shit. So that's what these things do. They slow down the production of that shit. Because in actuality, urea is urine. It's a gland, it's a glandular fluid too. Your bladder is a gland that absorbs liquids out of the blood and stores it in the bladder until it gets full. Then you get the urge to piss to release the fluids out of it. It's a big ass gland, so Urine is a glandular fluid, and formaldehyde is just like resin from or sap from a pine tree. It's a chlorophyll, which in its own state, a you know uh, chlorophyll is like a sap or enzyme from the plant, and the plant itself is like a big ass gland. The root is like a gland. The root is just like the bladder. It's absorbing up water and it's pumping it through the entire system of the plant. And see, when you see stuff like that and you understand that, man, we've been lied to, and this shit is really easy to think your way through it. If you just keep your wits about you, you can actually, you know, benefit yourself in dealing with shit. Like, for instance, people that are suffering, especially older people that are suffering from arthritis. Back in the day, they used to make it a ritual of, ingesting uh, castor oil, because castor oil had antibacterial properties. Because, if you don't put stuff in your body that kills bacteria, right, then the bacteria overgrows and you'll get subtle hints that you are suffering from an overgrowth of bacteria. You'll start getting shit like yeast infections. Because, to tell you the truth, everybody has yeast in their body. If you've eaten bread and you drink beer, you have yeast in your body. As far as I know, bread is like a staple food. It's a universal food for everything. So it's not the actual living yeast, because yeast is almost, it's like an animal, and it grows from some type of site, CYTS, I think, sites. It's like an egg that's been dried out, and inside this egg is a little creature. Back in the day, they used to have these, uh, what do you call them? These novelty pets, like the pet rock. They used to have, these brine shrimp that they call sea monkeys. Yeah, it was it was a novelty pet that was created by a German cat. And what it is these brine shrimp, they lay eggs by the billions, not by the millions, by the billions. And these eggs sometimes are in small pools that dry up. So they were equipped, they were created like this. They didn't evolve. Evolution isn't physical, it's mental. So these eggs would dry up with the creek, and they would be so sturdy, just like a chicken egg. A chicken egg can last for a long time too, tell you the truth. Whether you like it after it's, been sitting there for a long ass time is a different story. But if you'll get the same benefit from it that you would if it was, fresh. You still get substance from it if you cook it. So these brine shrimp are almost like in a dehydrated state, and they call them sea monkeys. You could purchase them over the internet. You can do it anywhere, and that's how they figured out that these animals were capable of surviving outside their natural environment. It's not the ones that are grown that's having the eggs, but the ones that are inside of the eggs. And that's usually how yeast is. Yeast is the same way. Yeast is an animal that's pretty much, dehydrated to the point where the egg survives and reacts and reactivates when it comes in contact with liquids. But certain types of liquids. That's why if you're ever making your own wine, they recommend that when you're actually mixing the yeast with the the fruit juice or whatever, that you heat the fruit juice up and shit to a certain temperature because it has to be at a certain temperature in order to activate that growth. Yeah. And look, King Samo said chicken eggs are periods. See, I was talking about this with some other people before. Chicken eggs are not periods, brother or sister. I don't know which one you are. Let me know in the chat. The reason why it's not periods is because periods aren't periods. Right? Think about this. Are women, human women, just like the chicken? Are they just like the chicken? Because let me tell you right now, chickens don't have what do you call it, ovaries. Yeah. The shell from a chicken ain't created with the yolk in the egg whites. The shell is actually leached calcium from the actual chicken's bones, from the circulatory system of the chicken. If you don't give your chicken calcium, that motherfucker will stop making eggs. You know why? Because the body can't support it because the chicken doesn't have enough calcium to support additional, activities besides self-sustainment. Chickens will stop laying eggs. If people are raising chickens and you want your chickens to have eggs for a long period of time, you have to increase over their lifespan the amount of calcium that they're getting in their diet. So the natural process of creating the shell of an egg is created because it won't do it. The yolk is not the actual chicken. A lot of people think that the yolk is what the chicken is created from. The yolk is the food the chicken eats while it's inside of the embryonic fluid, which is the egg white. So as the chicken grows, it eats the yolk and it eats the egg white and eventually runs out of food, which makes it agitated and it struggles and it breaks the eggshell. If it continued to have food in it, the egg would stay inside of the womb. Same thing with the baby. If the baby's water didn't break, the baby would still stay inside of the womb. And the reason why I think the water breaks is because the older the baby gets, he puts pressure on certain areas inside of the womb. But I don't think woman makes eggs. I don't think a human woman makes eggs. Just like when the chicken has intercourse with the rooster puts his seed on the yolk as it's coming in the process of being shelled. Because there's a dude on YouTube. Let me see if I can find it, where he plucks the damn shells off the chickens while they're growing inside of the egg. Uh, Let me see how you would write that. Peeling eggshell of live chicken. All right. Okay, here we go. Right here. This is what I want to show you guys. Now, this is some weird shit because it totally changed my outlook on how I saw things when it comes to this type of stuff. Because I was like, man, the egg yolk is where the chicken actually is developed. No, that's the substance of the chicken. Watch this shit. So what did he just do? What is he putting in there? See how look how this shit kind of like starts to infect or infest the yolk. It infects or infests the yolk, man. Come on, man. So he takes the egg out of there, right? And he's starting to put something on the egg. What do you think that is he's putting on the egg? He's just dripping some shit with a syringe on there. All right, and look how it starts to grow like a. It's almost like a seed, and the seed starts to root out and encompass the entire yolk. And if you were planting a plant and you put the seed in the ground as it roots out, it's what? It's it's devouring all the soil that's in reach of those damn roots. It's leaching the soil. It's pulling up all the nutrients out of the soil. And if the plant's there long enough and it doesn't give back to the soil, which is the process of, you know, pruning itself or shedding its leaves, that's giving back to the soil because those leaves have the nutrients in them. They decompose and go back into the soil, which refeeds the tree or the plant that's leaching from the soil. And it looks like this is what it's doing. Every time he opens it up, that shit grows. And what is he putting in there? What is that? And see that's what you need to understand. This is what people need to understand. I can't rewind it. Shit. If you found out what he was putting in there, see how the chicken consumes the entire yolk and all that shit? Consumes all of the damn whites and everything. That's the sperm. That's not the egg. That's the sperm, bro. This right here is food for the sperm. So in other words, the rooster created that chicken, not the hen. The hen just makes box lunches and shit. The hen makes box lunches. Now, the reason why I said the human woman don't make eggs is because she got ovaries and fallopian tubes and shit. You know what I'm saying? So I don't think the ovaries and the fallopian tubes create eggs. I think they create enzymes and secretions. Hence why the vagina is moist. So the egg part is that's a phallus. That's a fallacy. They made that shit up to bring us in the realm of chickens and reptiles. They bring us in the realm of chickens and reptiles, man. See? And I was talking to one of the guys and I was telling them, man, that when they discovered that the life comes from the man and the woman just has the chicken egg in the shell, you see what I'm saying? And look, the woman is actually the shell. She's the eggshell, and she produces the yolk, which is the embryonic fluid. Yeah, and the baby eats the embryonic fluid. And see, I tried to tell people this once before that the umbilical cord is not a nutrient, giver. It's actually a waste disposal. I was looking at some images of the umbilical cord when it's connected to the sac, right? What is the sac connected to? Well, some people think the sac is independent of anything inside the woman's body, but in actuality, it's not. At some point it's connected to the intestines. Yeah, it's connected to the intestines. So the entire time, as the woman's creating the embryonic fluid, the waste that the baby's creating inside the womb, and yes, the baby is shitting and pissing inside of the womb, it's being filtered out into the woman's intestine. Yep, it's being filtered out into the woman's intestine. And look, the reason why I say this, and the reason why I'm like saying this shit, that this weird ass shit, is because check it out. The navel, your navel is at one point was connected to your intestine. Yeah, it was connected to your intestine at one point. And if it's connected to your intestine, that means you're not bringing anything in because the intestines is in the business of pushing things out. The stomach is in the business of bringing things in, but the stomach is not utilized in the fashion where it's pumping and moving food. Since the baby is enveloped or engulfed in its food, which is the embryonic fluid, the baby is actually doing what most people call hyper shit hyperventilating. It's like a hyperventilation. So it's like you're taking a breath, but you're not actually inhaling, and you're not exhaling, but you're actually inhaling. So they did this experiment on this movie called The Abyss, where they made one of the actors put on the dive suit and fill it with artificial embryonic fluid, and he had the expression on his face like he was drowning at first. But then as he started to hyperventilate, he realized that he didn't have to inhale or exhale because the embryonic fluid that was going through his lungs pressurized his lungs and gave it all the CO2 it needed. Because believe it or not, we breathe more CO2 than we do oxygen. Because if you breathe 100% oxygen, you know that shit is corrosive. Oxygen oxidizes things, right? So if you breathe in 100% oxygen, you're destroying your lungs. They found that shit out a long time ago when they used to treat people that were submerged underwater for long periods of time. They gave them high doses of oxygen, and the person died from suffocation because they were destroying the lungs. If you think I'm lying, do an experiment. Well, I ain't gonna say do an experiment. I'm gonna say look up how CPR rescue breaths work. Because if we breathe out CO2 because we're breathing in oxygen, then wouldn't you be asphyxiating a person because you're breathing carbon monoxide inside their lungs? It would be just like you sitting in the garage with your car running and it's filling up with carbon monoxide, and you would die from that shit, right? So why the rescue breaths help resuscitate a drowning person or somebody that's going through cardiac arrest? See, common sense would tell you that you're actually feeding the body what it actually needs. That's why it's able to revive. If we're exhaling carbon monoxide and you're blowing that carbon monoxide into somebody's lungs and they're responding by resuscitating themselves with that carbon monoxide that you're putting in them, what do you think the body naturally does when it's breathing on its own? It's breathing in carbon monoxide. And see, they're telling us this shit because they want us to believe that carbon monoxide is bad. See, because they know there's an abundance of it because that's what we breathe. So they'll be like, you know what? We're going to tax the ability for motherfuckers to breathe, and they not going to even know it because we're going to call it a carbon tax. And we only breathe in oxygen and expel carbon monoxide, but that's a fallacy. Plants create carbon monoxide. It doesn't create oxygen. It does, but it doesn't create it in the form of a gas. It creates it in the form of a liquid. That's what it creates oxygen in the form of. But it creates CO2 in the form of a gas. Just like if you burn paper, you create carbon. That's what CO2 is. It's vaporized carbon. Now, when a plant burns something, we call that what? We call that shit photosynthesis. Photosynthesis is supposedly created by the sun. And now this is where it gets fucking crazy. Why would photosynthesis be created by the sun and plants don't burn up from it? Because we're saying photosynthesis is a burning of something to create something else. So photosynthesis is burning what? Is it burning carbon monoxide? Is it burning oxygen? What is it doing? We don't know because it's all fabricated. It's all made up. When we were taught that plants are go through photosynthesis, we didn't realize that plants don't need light in order to grow. We thought that the only way plants grew was with light. No, plants actually grow more in the cover of darkness. Like if you want your plant, like if you growing indoors and you want your plant that you've been vegetating for 6, 7 months to start to go into fruit or go into flower, guess what you do? You put it in darkness for 24 hours to 48 hours, straight darkness. Now, if sunlight was needed for the plant to survive, wouldn't the plant die over a 48-hour period? Wouldn't it just wither up? But it doesn't. It starts to go into the flowering process immediately after it reaches that 24 to 48-hour period, depending on, if it's complete darkness or not. And the plant grows into the fruiting process during that time frame. Because you only got 12 hours of light and 12 hours of darkness. When it crosses over and the plants get to that point where the scales are tipped, hence why we do the daylight saving time shit, they get a little bit more sunlight than they do darkness, and vice versa. When it goes into the opposite end, when we lose an hour, we get more darkness, or when we gain an hour, we get more darkness. That's not because of the time switching the clock time. That's because of the shift of the sun going from Capricorn to Cancer and from Cancer to Capricorn. That's it. That's all it is. And see, when you start growing shit, especially when you grow shit and you start smoking, you start noticing subtle shit. I notice more shit when I'm high than I do when I'm sober. It's like shit slows down and makes sense when I'm high. It makes sense because I have a little bit more time to contemplate shit. In my mind, I think I do. But it could just be me slowing down mentally. But it seems to work because I get an idea of how to change subtle things to make stuff work, especially in my garden. But you guys get the gif. I'm gonna turn this fucking video off. But you guys see what I'm talking about. That chick didn't start from the yolk. That chick started from something that was placed on the yolk. And you see that guy was putting something on the yolk. And what I'm thinking that is, I'm thinking that it's chicken semen. And then as time goes on, he puts the sperm. Now, everybody, if you're an adult and if you're aware with your body, if you're a man, you should know this. That there's two types of semen. There's two types of sperms. There's the clear and there's the hazy color. Well, each one of them can impregnate an animal. See what I'm saying? So, depending on which one you have the most of, depending on whether or not you get. So, if you got the clear more versus the hazy, then you are most likely to bear a female. If you got the hazy more than you have the clear, you're most likely to bear a male. And we was talking about this shit last night, and I was trying to explain that when a man is trying to create a male offspring, he has to be driven, has to have a drive to create a male offspring, right? Because a male offspring is produced from testosterone, which when a male child is conceived, it has to have lots of testosterone in order to create the testicles. Now, when a female child is produced, it doesn't need to have lots of testosterone because it's not creating testicles. So it can be created with the clear semen. Because either one can create it. I don't think that there's an egg that has a male gene in it and a female gene in it. I think that's a religious science that they're teaching us So we won't understand the basic mechanics of creating life, because creating a male and a female is a mechanical advantage. It's a mechanical transaction. The reason why I say it's a mechanical transaction is because testosterone is like a fuel. When it's introduced into activity, you gain more intensity. You gain more intensity. You if you're running, you get more thrust. If you're swimming, you get more thrust. If you're jumping, you get more thrust. You see how it's like this catapulting type, you know, concoction of energy, versus estrogen is not like that. Estrogen doesn't give you, it doesn't fuel you to do shit. It actually de fuel you, or it actually dilutes your fuel. You know, it makes a man less aggressive. You know what I'm saying? It makes him more docile. But testosterone gives you more. Uh, that's why they call a man that has high testosterone cocky. You know what I'm saying? Because they're saying that you have what is needed to create testicles and a penis. You cocky. You know what I'm saying? So this is stuff that we used to know. So if you wanted to bear, an heir, you need to get your mind straight. You need to, have some restraint. You need to restrict yourself in order to build your drive, to build up your testosterone, you know? So you have to deprive yourself of intercourse. But just like everything, you got motherfuckers that take it a little too far and they start religions of semen retention. That's not what it's for. It's only done for a temporary time. The semen, if you save it, is not gonna go down your spine, up your spine into your convoluted, uh, con, whatever they call it, the convoluted or whatever that shit is, or your pineal gland. That's not what it is. Sperm does not connect to your spine, especially from your testicles to your spine. It's created by your testicles, which are glands, and those glands produce sperm based on the amount of testosterone in your system. And testosterone comes from a gland that's, I don't know if it's on the heart or near the heart, but it's a gland that's being pumped out, that's connected to the heart. And once the testosterone is pumped into the system, women got the same gland, but it stores and pumps out estrogen more than it does testosterone. Each uh, sex has its own characteristic that makes it similar yet different from one another. So when you're experimenting with sex and you don't have a motive, you're just gonna get whatever you get. You know what I'm saying? You don't really have a motive. But when you a man and you know what you want, you can deprive yourself in raising your testosterone level, increasing your drive to create a male offspring. But then again, you know, if we're in a paradigm where women don't create eggs, then what do women do? What do they create? They create ambience. They create an environment. You see what I'm saying? They create a typical, no, not typical. They create an ideal growth environment for the man's semen. The semen it's not a snake like people think it is. It's not a snake. It's more like an amoeba. See, and just like amoebas can be severed and dissected, and each part that's severed and torn apart is becomes its own entity, the sperm is the same way. The same way, bro. It's not individual little snakes squiggling around trying to make it to an egg. It's not that. It's its own entity. So so look, you got to be careful where you putting that entity and what you putting it in. You know, because every male animal can impregnate every female animal, if that makes sense. They've been testing it out. They're still testing it out. When you breed outside of your species, they call it a chimera, and then it's even karmic. You know what I'm saying? What occurs or what is created, because karma is like this: cause and effect. You put fire and gasoline together, you just create combustion. You just created a freaking a fire, a giant fire, an explosion. You know, but in some cases, gas and fire is productive. I mean, you put gas and fire inside of an engine, you create combustion, which is locomotion. You know what I mean? It's something that can benefit you, can take you somewhere and then transport you and stuff. But if you have a gas and fire out in the open, all it's going to do is cause a big ass blaze, maybe an explosion. So the same thing occurs with the sperms and eggs. And this is not popular stuff because this is going against everything that we believe. And see, this is why we have the war of the sexes. It's because, you know, man wants to be, the creator, and female wants to be the creator. But one is lying to itself. One is lying to itself. See, because they've already demonstrated, I'm saying they as if I don't know who they are. Scientists have already demonstrated creating a fetus outside of the womb. It's already done that. And see, if we never been showed the image of an egg and a sperm, we would never even have the idea that you could take these two and put them together outside of the womb. It's not that. It's just like what that dude was doing with that damn egg. What is he putting inside of that egg with that syringe? Because he's created this chick, and the whole transformation this chick went through started with those drops. See how he put it in there, and he's putting those drops in there. That little white stuff that he's putting in there. I don't want to jump to any conclusions, but I'm just going to use common sense, and I'm going to say it's chicken sperm. And he keeps adding it because, like I said, the sperm isn't individual separate entities. It's a collection of an entity. It's like a blob. Like in the movies, the blob can be blown up, it can be cut up, it can be burnt up. But if a little piece of it survives, it can regenerate itself. Same shit in this. As he's adding the sperm to the yolk, it's starting to accumulate and create that one centerpiece that spider webs out and eventually encompass the entire yolk and eventually devours the entire yolk. So what he's doing is he's fertilizing the egg continuously, just like a chicken does inside of her womb. The chicken can lay up to 14 eggs off of one mating session with a rooster. That's weird, man. That means that she's storing the semen in a location inside the body, some type of pouch or gland has the semen. So if that's the case, the rooster ain't even having sex with the vagina. He's having sex with a damn, a built-in glove or some shit, which is the same thing if you think about it. And then as the chicken creates the egg, the sperm is secreted out of that container or vessel into the egg. before the shell is introduced. And see, that's the weird thing about it, because if you're thinking about a woman, if she was like a chicken, that means that she can get pregnant multiple times from one ejaculation, one male ejaculation. Now, is that possible? Because they're making it seem like the sperm is millions of individual different little sperm snakes. When what that looks like is it's like a seed that's being put into some fertile ground or on top of fertile ground. And the roots are spreading out, and the seed develops into a plant, which then develops into a sapling, which then envelops into a tree. So that's what I'm looking at right there with the chicken. So we can believe, we can sit up here and believe a woman is like a chicken all we want. But I'm gonna tell you right now that the egg is not chicken period. Because the period ain't even a period. The female, the period that she thinks she's having and the crapping and the bloating and shit is to get rid of waste. That's what every gland does when a gland is filled up with an enzyme or a hormone, it secretes it. Same thing with the with the ovaries and all that shit. You know, I'm not gonna try and pretend I know how it feels what a woman goes through, but I'm gonna speculate on what I think it is, because that's what they do with us. They'll sit up there and tell you you got millions of sperm. Women sit up there and tell you millions of sperm come out and go inside of me. Only one gets inside the egg. You know, that's like saying, you know, there is such a shot in the dark that life is created from intercourse, that it's more productive to just do it, you know. Because look at that shit he's putting on there, man. Look at that shit he's skeeting on his hand. It's more productive to do it in the artificial insemination way, because the likelihood of your success is higher. But it's not this. It's not. You're not. It's not likely that you'll have a baby from artificial insemination. You know how many people pay for that treatment and then they don't end up having no baby and shit. And mainly, I think it's because the woman, her mind ain't right. You know, you got to be in a certain mind state in order to have a baby. You got to work first, want the motherfucker. Because I was about to bring something up about the Avatar movies. The Avatar movies show a depiction of what an outside of the womb baby would look like. These avatars, the big ass blue motherfuckers, they got the long ass ponytail, and at the end, there's these little squiggly tentacles that they can put on plants, and or they can connect to another animal and communicate with them. You know, have a bond with them. That's the same thing the umbilical cord is. It does the same thing to the uterus wall. It's just like the avatar little hair piece with the squiggly end on it. The sperm utilizes, because the umbilical cord and the sperm is one. It's one. Just like the umbilical cord and the embryo is one. I mean, this is just common sense shit. This is not no scientific shit that you got to actually think about. If you've had kids and you've seen your kids born, you know that the umbilical cord is attached to you and the mother, and it's attached in a way that if you pull it apart, it'll rip off right where it's attached at. You know, and ultimately, when they remove the placenta and all that stuff, they pull that embryonic sac out with it. You know, that's not supposed to stay there. But the connection that it has to the uterus and the damn, because look, man, If we thinking that the uterus stretches to support the baby, man, that is a big stretch, figuratively and literally. That's a big stretch, man, for the uterus to stretch that much. But it's also a big stretch too when the baby is being born. So we know what that stretch is about. But at the same time, I don't think that's the case. I don't think the uterus swells up because you're talking about it has to swell from the bottom of the pelvis up to, or from the center of the pelvis out to the stomach and shit, which is weird, man. And then why is it connected to the intestine? Just type in, is the embryonic sac connected to the intestines? Let's see. Yeah, because I didn't realize that your navel was attached to your intestines. I didn't realize that, but it is. And some people say that it's attached to the large intestines, and that's what the uh, the appendix is. That's the part that, as your just like your navel dries up and falls off when you're a baby, it does that on the inside too. The appendix separates from the actual navel cord, but that was the connection to the large intestines. Yeah, and a lot of people can have issues, appendicitis and all that shit, where the opening of the end of the intestines doesn't close, and it gets infected and shit. Yeah, because leaky gut, man, can fucking destroy your internal system and shit. That calls to mind other shit, like also, the pancreas being attached to the liver. You know, it's not directly attached, but it's indirectly attached at the duodenum, which is the small intestine, where the small intestine connects to the stomach. So that right there, the duodenum is the bottom portion of the stomach where it connects with the intestines, and that's where the pancreas and the gallbladder connects. And the gallbladder is connected to the liver, so it's all connected. It's connected indirectly. And what's strange is that if that's connected to the intestines, you know, and also the navel is connected to the intestines, that means it was like a big ass circle, of you know of, of feeding and shitting and eating and all at the same time when you're in the womb. Yeah, it's like a freaking connection. Zay said, "I've been told you that." Well, shit, I'm glad I remembered it then. And more salutes to you for telling me, because that's important, man. If I would have known that as a young child, growing up and as a man, I would have a better idea. I would have more respect for the process. And that's what it is. It's having respect for the process is what makes it so unique. Because, if men knew that they were abandoning 100% of themselves, and not a 50-50 thing. They wouldn't be so it wouldn't be so easy for them to just disregard their child. You know, it's hard to believe that, you know, that these things are worth something if you don't find any worth in it. Yeah. You do need to clean your belly button like you clean your ass. Because believe it or not, just because it's healed over don't mean that it's still not circulating. You know, the skin is a kidney too as well. So it's still extracting and expelling toxins. Yeah. And check this shit out. You know, you can get lye, you can get potassium hydroxide from wood ash, which when added to water is lye, right? And what is wood ash? Wood ash is burnt carbon. It's burnt, you know, carbon material like wood, you know, and anything that's combustible. The same thing with is it it's still open, it's just very tiny holes like an ear piercing. Yeah, 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 you're right. But what I was trying to say was is that when you smoke a cigarette, you're burning. So let's go back to the ash and the potassium hydroxide. Why it's created when you add water to ash. It's because ash is very high in alkaline. It's very high alkalinity. When you burn the ash or when you burn a combustible material and it creates ash, you're rendering the alkalinity down to its most potent is, you know, level. It's taking all the water and all the moisture and you're burning it out of the wood. So any minerals that are left behind that create alkaline or chlorophyll is concentrated in the ash because it's a carbon. Carbon can't be broken down to anything but carbon. So when you add water to it, you're hydrating it. You're adding an oxide, which is another alkaline to the already alkaline that's in the wood, which makes potassium hydroxide, right? Which is lye. Now, when you smoke a cigarette, or you smoke a joint, or you smoke a blunt, you're doing the same thing but inside of your lungs. Now, the chemical process of the water and ash mixing is the moisture in your lungs and the carbon smoke that you're putting inside of it as well. So in actuality, you're creating lye inside of your lungs. That's how I know cancer is not caused by smoking. They was like, no, you figure out why tribal people use ashes and mud and a screen, or you need to say as a screen block the natural pesticides. That's why white folks try to replicate it with their own version of sunblock. Okay, yeah, I got you. I got you. That's a crazy statement, and I feel you on that. But look, what if they're putting the ashes on their skin to create lye on the skin? Because you know that was a form of treatment for leprosy back in the day. Person that had leprosy was separated from the rest of the group, and they were made to go and live in the burn pits until they healed up from their leprosy. And see, leprosy is expressed in the kidneys, not only in the kidneys in your body, but also in your skin. So you break out in a pox. Same thing with all other diseases that create pox and cankers and freaking what they call and herpes. Yeah. Every disease that creates that does the same thing, affects the kidneys. So if you have kidney failure, it will behoove you to tell your doctor to check and see if you suffer from a bacterial or a parasitic infection that's attacking your kidneys. And then if it's manifesting in your skin, they tell you the kidney failures has manifested into leprosy or some type of hepatitis or some shit like that. It's all parasites, all of it. Parasite that causes hepatitis starts in the skin. See? Same thing with the parasite that causes tuberculosis. Starts in the skin. That's why when they do those tests, and what those tests are doing, they're testing to see if the shit that's in your skin is affected by antigens, which is a poison from another parasite at that. So they're testing to see if it has a negative reaction. And usually the negative reaction is the area around that of the injection of that antigen swells up. Now, why would it swell up? And this is what you can know or think about when you have these ulcers or boils on your skin and shit or pimples. The reason why it's swelling up. It's swelling up because it's getting ready to ejaculate. It's getting ready to force that shit out. Yeah. And so you can either do one or two things. You can let it take its natural course, and sometimes it won't get rid of it on its own. Or you can assist it by putting what? Pressure on it. See? And that's what we're supposed to do. We're supposed to put pressure on this shit. And see, that's what some of these methods are for. These herbs and shit, is to put pressure on you. Like most people think that milk isn't beneficial for you because a lot of people suffer from what they call lactose intolerance. But guess what that lactose intolerance is an indication of parasites, because it's doing what a pimple does. It's putting pressure on your digestive system and is making you force everything out. And the only reason why it's doing that is because it's having a reaction with what's already in there. And what's in there is parasites. Yeah, just imagine when I was a kid, I used to go crawfishing. And what we used to do is when we go back from crawfishing, instead of just throwing the crawfish in the pot and boiling them, we take some water out of the sink, because the water that we have them in was the water that was from the little fishing hole. So we would scoop it up with a bucket, and that's when we put our crawfish in until we get home. But that's the natural environment of the crawfish. The natural environment of the crawfish is to live in putrid, murky water. So if you put them in clear water, they tend to get the same thing we get if we be in filthy water. We get sick. You know what I'm saying? We get irritated. And when you get sick and irritated, you most likely do one or two things. You shit or you regurgitate. And that's what the whole process of putting the crawfish in the clean water is doing. It's forcing to puke up some of those toxins to get rid of that shit. Well, that's the same thing milk is doing to your intestines when it comes in contact with these parasites. See, because milk, believe it or not, is antibacterial. And the reason why it's antibacterial because it's lactate. Is actually the fat from the cow. And the fat in its nature is an oil. And guess what? Just like castor oil, the fat from an animal, which is tallow, can help you create soap. Straight up, you can create soap with fat. You take lye and you mix it with soap or an oil, and it creates soap. And we know soap is a detergent. And detergents do what? A detergent will clean something out or will flush it out. It will sanitize it. So that's the same process that's going on in that instant. So this is just simple fucking common sense stuff that smart motherfuckers don't think about on a daily basis. You know, and we can utilize this to brainstorm and come up with other ideas on how things actually work. And it'll help you out in dealing with reality because man, people have a hard time dealing with reality. Look at all the shit we're going through right now, all this identity shit, and people can know exactly what the crisis is, but avoid assisting the motherfucker that's going through it. For instance, you don't really need assistance. You just need to recognize what's real. You know, tap into that karmic reality that everybody has. Because deep down, tell you the truth, our conscience is the only thing that makes us different from one another. Our conscience. If we all operated on a subconscious, we would be like automatons. We would be like a hive animal. That's where we were at when we first started off in our phases of communication, in our mental evolution of communication. We started off as omnipresent, being everywhere, knowing everything, experiencing everything, feeling everything, communicating with everyone, being communicated by, from everyone, and being able to be everywhere and here at the same time. That's what omnipresent is. We were just like that. You know, so we're similar to that shit. It's the same loop. Everything is the same. Man, I'm gonna need to go ahead and take a well-deserved little R&R real quick because I need to go take a smoke. And I'll come right back.
Call me a god. Call me a god.
So give me a little bit and I'm about to go take me a smoke break. I'll come right back. And we'll pick up where I left off.
I'm about to go off like a weapon. Fuel to the top, got a filled up engine. In my thoughts, obsession. I will not stop, no, I'm never second guessing. I got a God complex. Haters love to hate, but I never feel pressed. Got a lot on my plate, but I never get stressed. I'll take all the pressure like I'm acing this test. Tear it up like I'm Jason. I see the world like it's ready for the taking. I see this place like a game I'm playing. Straight to the bank to collect my payments. No negotiations, it's my way, I was born impatient. And like a damn Freemason, I'll run this nation.
They call me a god. They call me a god. They call me a god. They call me a god.
I don't know how to stop. I just go till I drop. Whether it's working or shots, give it all that I got. You can watch me work in my element. Anyone in the way is irrelevant. You wanna cross me, cool, not intelligent. Cause I don't forget shit like an elephant. Go ahead and tempt me. Put it on the line and you'll come up empty. If I got time, I'm deadly. Never caught off guard, no, I'm always ready. I got a hand real steady. Look me in the eye and you'll see no hezzy. About to get real messy. I'll put you in a grave 6 feet like Kenny.
They call me a god. 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 They call me a god.
not stop, no, I'm never second guessing. I got a God complex. Haters love to hate, but I never feel pressed. Got a lot on my plate, but I never get stressed. I'll take all the pressure like I'm acing this test. Tear it up like I'm Jason. I see the world like it's ready for the taking. I see this place like a game I'm playing. Straight to the bank to collect my payments. No negotiations, it's my way, I was born impatient. And like a damn Freemason, I'll run this nation.
They call me a god. They call me a god. They call me a god. They call me a god.
I don't know how to stop. I just go till I drop. Whether it's working or shots, give it all that I got. You can watch me work in my element. Anyone in the way is irrelevant. You wanna cross me, cool, not intelligent. Cause I don't forget shit like an elephant. Go ahead and tempt me, put it on the line and you'll come up empty. If I got time, I'm deadly. Never caught off guard, no, I'm always ready. I got a hand real steady. Look me in the eye and you'll see no hezzy. About to get real messy. I'll put you in a grid 6 feet like Kenny.
They call me a god. 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 They call me a god.
Let's go. I'm about to go off like a weapon. Fuel to the top, got a filled up engine. In my thoughts, obsession. I will not stop, no, I'm never second guessing. I got a God complex. Haters love to hate, but I never feel pressed. Got a lot on my plate, but I never get stressed. I'll take all the pressure like I'm acing this test. Tear it up like I'm Jason. I see the world like it's ready for the taking. I see this place like a game I'm playing. Straight to the bank to collect my payments. No negotiations, it's my way, I was born impatient. And like a damn Freemason, I'll run this nation.
They call me a god. They call me a god. They call me a god. They call me a god.
I don't know how to stop. I just go till I drop. Whether it's working or shots, give it all that I got. You can watch me work in my element. Anyone in the way is irrelevant. You wanna cross me, cool, not intelligent. Cause I don't forget shit like an elephant. Go ahead and tempt me, put it on the line and you'll come up empty. If I got time, I'm deadly. Never caught off guard, no, I'm always ready. I got a hand real steady. Look me in the eye and you'll see no hezzy. About to get real messy. I'll put you in a grid 6 feet like Kenny.
They call me a god.
All right. Call me God.
They call me a god.
Yeah. But yeah, man. Now, shit. Now let's get into some stupid shit. You know what? I'm gonna drop the link. So if anybody want to come up here and shoot that shit with me, they can come on up here. Holla at you, boy. Let me. Where shit at? Oh man. Right. Copy the link. Put it in the chat. Pajace. Alright, that's the link right there. Let me go to the YouTube so I can paste it up at the top. Yeah. I don't want to hear my voice. Shut that shit up. Yeah. Pin it to the top, dog. All right, there go the link right there. If anybody feel cocky, you know, want to come up and display their prowess in that verbal judo, you know what I'm saying? Go ahead and hit the link, and we can talk about whatever. But I'm gonna sit up here and I'm gonna finish about that that form of communication that I was talking about. That omnipresent unit communication, which is ultimately why they're trying to take us at with this Neuralink shit, because that's the next stage past Neuralink. You know, you're damn near omnipresent when you can pull up a screen and see all the players in your domain. See, it's like you're a god. You can communicate with them, you can chat with them, you can meet with them, you can set up all kind of shit. You can actually see if they're going through anything that's involving their health. That's what this shit is about. Neuralink is primitive as hell. It's not high tech at all. I mean, it's something that we used to do, you know, right before we advanced to de-advance to where we're at. When we advance to de-advance to where we're at. That's what Neuralink is trying to do. It's not bad. The only problem is that most people feel like they don't have a choice in the matter. That they think that they're going to be forced to upload to this Neuralink. I mean, because look, this doesn't make any sense. Check it out. If you think somebody's going to force you to lay in bed all day and be hooked up to a computer, and they got to change your diaper, feed and change your clothes, and feed your fat lazy ass while you walk around in this world that was created for you so you can be a superhero or whatever the hell you want to be, and you think that that's what their goal is, that they want to take care of your lazy ass? Hell no. There is no way that they can remove your spirit from you. They've already been trying to do it, especially with this trans movement. They've been trying to remove male spirit a long time ago. They found a way to stop them from exercising the spirit by fixing them, giving them a vasectomy. Yeah, the spirit is just another way of saying breath, which is another form of expelling something, ejecting something, just like what we do when we get intimate with a woman and conceive a baby. We breathing hard as hell, and we expelling the shit. We thrusting out our breath and we thrusting out our seed at the same time. That's why it's important to have intent, to know exactly what you're aiming for. If you just fucking and you just trying to get that feeling, because that's what most motherfuckers I think be trying to do, just get that feeling, get that nut. That's what they be trying to get. And they really don't have a goal or an objection. That's where conception becomes something other than what you would call a blessing. It becomes a habit, a chore, all these different types of fucking things and stuff. But yeah, they're just bringing us back to the basics by introducing this Neuralink shit in us. I think that there should be a portion of the population that should do that shit. You can't force them, of course, because it's gonna take other motherfuckers to take care of them. You can't just live in Neuralink and expect your body to be functional. You're gonna be having urges. There's no eating in there. Like, they can't take away the way that your body functions as a mechanical device, because it does. It has pumps and valves and fluid. It has frames and structure. So that right there is something that they can't operate around. and they can't take your spirit from you. You know, they can't take the breath from you unless they take your life. And then they can't store it. There's nothing to store. You know, I don't see how we figure. I hear people talking about this shit when they was having these big debates about the Neuralink and the motherfucking you know, them capturing souls and shit. Bro, if you think that you are that basic that a motherfucker can capture your soul, you are really on some dope. Because we're beyond technology, man. That's what the omnipresent shit is. That's beyond technology. There's no more advancement beyond it. That's why you have to go back to the regression phase in order to re-achieve it all over again. That's why you got to go through that regression phase. You got to go to a phase of being dumb in order so you can become smart again. So you can become dumb, so you can become smart again. There's no real goal in it. It's just an existence. You see what I'm saying? So we create these false illusions of some end point. There is no end point. Just like there's no end to the land. Just like there's no end to the sky. See, so why would you think there would be an end to existence? That at some point you would die and never be reborn again into nothing. Bro, that would be more realistic than what's actually happening. That's why they can force us mentally, fool us mentally, to not realize that we're in a continuous creation, existence, destruction, death, creation, existence, destruction, death cycle. You know, and the people that really excel in these existences are the ones that can tolerate it the best. Can you tolerate it? How much can you fucking take? How much can you take before your psyche breaks? And then you start operating in the subconscious. Because that's what a lot of people are doing. When you see these people, these new type of drug that's out there that got people leaning over and not falling. And I'll be looking at this shit and I'll be like, how a motherfucker can contort their body like that and not tip the fuck over and fall over. They like in a trance or, you know, in some comatose state, but they still able to keep their balance and shit. You know, that's what being in the subconscious is like. Because the subconscious can be so slowed down that you can catch everything that's occurring in existence in that moment. Or it could be so fast that you don't see none of it. That none of it even makes sense. You see? And that's what they be playing with when they be doing a mass psychosis. When the mass, I'm not saying they, you know what, because I'm going to fuck around and get struck. But it's when a mass psychosis is being implemented. It's almost like people are going through that same shit that these people that are in Philadelphia that's on that new drug. They calling it, I think they calling it some type of psych, or they calling it some type of conscious drug. Like instead of being subconscious, you know, you're beyond conscious. You know, that's why I believe, and I know because I know that most people dream in third person. That's why I believe that. Because most people walk around thinking of themselves in third person. They're not even experiencing what's happening right in front of their eyes. If that was the case, we wouldn't be able to get fooled so easily. If we was actually experiencing what's happening right before our eyes, people couldn't pull shit over on us. You know, children are like that. Children are experiencing what's right in front of them. Right? They're experiencing what's right in front of them. And the ones that aren't are the ones that are sick. If that makes sense. The children that can't be amazed by what's happening in life are sick kids. The ones you see on those TV channel, on those commercials, St. Jude's and all that stuff. I got a tumor. They're the ones that can't see the possibilities in this existence. That's why they depended on somebody else to fix them. It's not their fault. It's not their parents' fault either. It's just the way that we built. Some of us aren't built straight into existence to fight. Some of us got to be provoked, you know, and then some of us never get the opportunity to act on it because we get provoked on our deathbed. It's too late for all that shit then. So it's not natural to fight. You got to be taught to fight. Straight up. You got to be taught to fight. And depending on how good you was taught, it depends on how good you are as a fighter. You know, everybody has an aggressive side, but everybody is not born to fight. See? And I think it's because we're so adapted to leaving this form that we realize, most of us realize, it doesn't even matter if you fight or not, tell you the truth, because you're still going to ultimately end up back here. You know, you're still going to end up back here. I'm sorry, there's no end to this shit. The best thing to do is to fix yourself, fix your mind to be able to deal in this fucking existence. If not, you're going to create a continuous loop of hell for yourself. And that's what I think that's what gives most people power. That's why we have so many fucking victims in our society. We have so many victimized class of people in society. And the object is to be the most victimized. It's not to fucking heal from it and move the fuck on. It's to wallow in it and just keep on reliving the same old bullshit over and over again. Straight up. And then we end up introducing our kids to it. And they do it. You know, I think we misinterpreted when they were talking about generational wealth. You know, I think motherfuckers was thinking generational wealth like money and assets and shit. But I really truly think that they was talking about your health, generational health. And the only way you can have good health is if you have a good mind. A good mind is going to lead you to good health. If you got a healthy mind, you're going to live a healthy lifestyle. And it's not going to, I don't mean going and fucking starving yourself or eating a bunch of vegetables all the time. I mean, you'll know how to deal in indulgences. Yeah, you'll know how to deal with indulgences. That way you'll always be within moderation. Most people don't know how to do shit in moderation. That's why they always restricting themselves of what makes life happy. Why would you take away joy in order to experience life? Knowing damn well that life is all about being happy. Why would you take away joy? And I think that's the mission of these certain people. I'm going to say certain people because we do have a demented side of us in society that are like masochists that love to hate, to hit, to hurt not only other people but themselves too, because that's the only way they feel alive. They emotionally handicapped. So when they see somebody that has the hang of things, it's believe me, it's a conditioning. And if you want to condition yourself in this life, in this existence right here, so you can be better equipped in the next one, because it is a progression. As you go on, the more times you come back, you tend to get better at being here. It's the same way when you practice sleeping. You tend to get better in your dreams and controlling your dreams. So that's why these so-called gurus can make up these analogies by saying, you know, practice at being more spirituality by doing this, spiritual by doing this, because they know it's a form of conditioning. Everything is a form of conditioning. I mean, if you could just learn your basic principles of conditioning, what conditions you as a person, you wouldn't have. Oh my goodness, I'm telling you, I'm trying to learn it, but there's stages of it because once you reach a milestone, you think you reached the top of that peak to where you learn all the methods of conditioning yourself, and then there's you keep walking, and then you run into another climb. And that climb, man, you could be on that climb for years. Because I was on a certain climb for years. I remember I used to have dreams of being back in high school playing football. And I was like, that is what I'm supposed to do. I'm dreaming about this shit all the time. But I wasn't paying attention to how I was dreaming about it. And see, because I wasn't aware of the power of recognition. So when I was in my dreams, dreaming I was playing football in high school, I always felt like I was missing out because I was dreaming in third person. Yeah. But once I learned how to control my dreams and I started dreaming in first person, that longing went away to be back in high school playing football because I was there doing it. And I'm still capable of doing it right now in my dreams. Yeah. They say if a person is thinking a word, and it depending on what energy this word carries to that person, like for me, dad or father carries a lot of power, a lot of weight with me. Same thing with mother, that carries a lot of weight with me. So when it carries weight with you, that means the body reacts to it. It's almost like plucking the string on the guitar. If you pluck it hard enough, it'll vibrate, and you can feel the vibration inside of you. It feels violent almost. But the reason why I'm saying this is because there have been people that have said that they've thought of words and felt their vocal cords actually try to say them without them trying to speak. And see what that is, that's them recognizing the subtleties of their existence. Imagine if you could sit there and watch your fingernails grow, how amazing that shit would be. How amazing it would be to watch your body create something, or not create, but transform something into another thing. Because that's what the body's doing when it's creating fingernails. It's taking the materials inside of your body and it's forming the fingernails. Imagine if you could see that happening. How crazy that would be. You know, the same thing with your hair. If you could see your hair grow. And what that is, that's a state of mind that you can get in and actually experience in a meditative state, which is called sleep. Meditation always been sleep, man. It ain't never been that shit that they show us on TV, that we see on TV of people sitting with their legs crossed. First of all, you know when you cross your legs, you be pinching off circulation going from the arteries in between your legs, and you're putting a lot of pressure on those arteries. You know, it's no wonder why as people get older, especially people that meditate, they end up getting varicose veins and shit, and because they're always in Indian style. The most comfortable form of meditation, which is sleep, is lying down with your body stretched out, all of its limbs stretched out, allowing equal flow and equal push of fluids throughout your entire body. Yeah. That's the most comfortable way of meditating. Why would you restrict that by crossing your legs? It's almost like taking a water hose and pinching it off and expecting it the sprinkler to work at the other end. It doesn't make sense. But these are teachings that were passed on to deceive the masses. You were never supposed to go along with what the crowd says or does. We were always supposed to be, a non-follower. But nowadays, a follower is what everybody wants to be, is what everybody wants to have. Want to have a following. And it's because we lack the ability to lead ourselves. So we pretend to lead other people. Maybe we get it and be able to actually lead ourselves. But we can't. We can't. Not unless we let go what we've been taught that reality actually is. It starts with who you are, first of all. How things would function. Could you imagine to break things down to its most basic states and be like, yo, what is the creation? How is it created? Who implements the creation? And who reciprocates it? You see what I'm saying? You got to have a reception, for, some type of input or some type of introduction. You got to have a reception for the introduction, I guess. So who is the recipient and who is the interpreter? So if I'm talking to you and you're the interpreter, I'm saying the words. Every word that's coming out of your mouth should be in that language that you're interpreting that I say, not what you think I say. It should be what I say. It should be like, if I'm telling you dog, you shouldn't be saying pretty brown dog. You should be saying dog. And that's the problem that we have when we interpret shit. We can't just interpret it for what it actually is. It has to have some ulterior motive or some type of alternate meaning. And in some cases, it is like that. In a lot of cases, I'm not even gonna lie, in a lot of cases, it's like that. That there's an ulterior motive in everything that occurs in its existence. So the hard part is to let that shit go and be able to just function. Because at some point you can't be a defeatist. By saying that all people are bad and we're all going to suffer, it's like giving up before you even have to come to that bridge. You don't know if there's a possibility you can make it over. You just giving up because you think that the bridge is out. You probably could run hard enough and jump high enough that you can make it to the other side. You never know. But you know that it's going to be failure. This is the thing that's typical of us. We know that there's going to be failure and destruction and death, which is the end. But we're not willing to take the chance to overcome it. So it's like this. It's like what the motherfuckers did and this is what makes me think that events are fake, because it shows us with no alternative. For instance, when they were showing people jumping out of the building of the World Trade Center, it was almost like they weren't willing to try and run through them flames to possibly get to the fucking stairs with no flames. They just rather just jump out and die. You know what I'm saying? They just rather just say, fuck it. I'm not going to even try to fight through that fire. I'm just going to jump out this window and splatter my guts all over the fucking ground. You see what I'm saying? That's what makes me think it's fake, because I know how humans are. I know how our species is. You know, I saw a video of a fire where people were trying so hard to fight through the fire that they were stuck at the fucking door, and they all died at the door because they were just plugging that fucking doorway. See what I'm saying? That's how desperate they were for living. Now that's the type of sacrifice end times situation deserve right there. Not a motherfucker that's saying I'm gonna blow my brains off because I can't win this gunfight. No, the type it deserves is one like I'm gonna go out in a blaze of glory because there's a possibility I can survive this shit. I'm never gonna count myself out because you're your only true believer. You're your only true fan. You're your only true cheerleader. Everybody else is pretending. You know what I'm saying? You can believe if you're cheering for yourself that you're truly rooting for you. You know what I'm saying? But you can't believe if a motherfucker's cheering for you that they actually care whether you succeed or fail. Because at the end of the day, it's not gonna really affect them. You know, it might be like, oh, but they don't get over it. You the one gonna still be there suffering. So be your best cheerleader. You know what I'm saying? Be your cheerleader. That way when motherfuckers see you, you know, they just not, you know, seeing you without your actual confidence and shit. For instance, and let's say you wanted to hook up with somebody and you didn't think the person was interested. If you ever came in contact with them, were forced to come in contact with them, you would probably make a good impression. Versus if you know, just built up the courage to go and communicate with them. There's something about, you know, stress that makes it stronger. There's something about, you know, tempering still, you know, putting stress on it, then relieving it, putting stress on it. It's like working out. It's like building the muscle, tearing it down and building it up. The mere, just the tearing process is what actually gets you the gains you're looking for. So without the destruction of it, you would never have any, you know, success at building it. So I think if we looked at shit like that, I mean, I try not to look at everything like that because I'm gonna tell you right now, man, you'll realize that there's more fake shit than there is real shit when you utilize this mentality. And it's not pleasant for other people. To me, because I'm doing this continuously. I don't have, you know, I'm to the point now it's like autopilot. I see this shit in everything now. And some people can say it's an obsession or it's like a psychosis type thing. But what it showed me is that you could build shit from nothing. You can build something from nothing. You know, all you gotta have is motivation. You gotta have drive. You know, that drive actually can change certain shit too in your life. Like I said, you need drive to conceive a male child, to give yourself an heir. You know, you need drive to overcome injury. You need drive to overcome loss. So that's the shit right there that people are afraid of. Because if you're not being driven by somebody else, then that means you have to drive yourself. And most people ain't gonna drive themselves. Driving yourself is not being successful in making money. I know a lot of people think that, but it's not. It's not success in money, man. Uh, I think it's success in understanding. Like struggle builds character, and that character is what gives you an edge on certain people that lack character. You know, because it's just like character will help you be patient. It'll help you respect the sacrifice of that patience. So when you acquire something, you won't destroy it. You ever wonder how certain people, have cars and they crash them motherfuckers? They don't have them too long, and they end up getting another car and they crash that motherfucker. They just keep on crashing shit, just keep on tearing up their shit. It's almost like they doing it on purpose. Well, that's the shit I'm talking about. Self-sabotage. I'm telling you, we have built a society of victims. Victims. Everybody want to be the worst victim. One up each other on being victimized. I don't ever want to be in no conversation where I'm trying to prove to another motherfucker that I've been tormented worse than him. I think myself that I don't have to go through that. I think myself to God that I will put myself through that, and that I ain't went through that. Because people torment themselves. Not only that, they torment other people. It's like they can't do without having it. Torment is just like an adrenaline. It's on the opposite scale of happiness. Some people are just chasing happiness all the time. They're just chasing it, trying to get that ultimate bliss. And then you got some people on the opposite end of the spectrum of that are just chasing suffering. They want to just have their leg amputated so they can say that they, is an amputee. They've even made a name for it. It's called transabled. Motherfucker, in conflict so much that they can't live without being tormented. That masochist type shit, cutting yourself and self-mutilation, starving yourself, depriving yourself of something that makes you happy in order for you to feel righteous. That is crazy. That is really crazy. And a lot of people are doing that. If you feel like you got to sacrifice to prove that you are a genuine survivor of some type of suffrage, you really need to sit down and think about what that means. Not only to other people, but to you. That means that you are purposely going out of your way to build a persona of suffering. You know what type of mental state you got to be in order to achieve that? And we got people that actually achieve it. We got people that actually put themselves through that stuff. When you see people with all these tattoos all over their body, all over their face, on every inch of their fucking body, on their genitals, on everything, under their feet, these people are displaying an illness, a self-mutilating illness. You see what I'm saying? Because if it was fashion, then would it be recognized as fashion? If it was fashionable, you know what I'm saying? Most people say that's a style, tattoos are a style. But no, man, it's an actual mental illness. Same thing with these piercings. Yeah, that's why some people can't stop getting them. Because they're living in some type of dysphoria. Yeah. And they're trying to justify why they feel like that. It's been normalized. The only thing that's going to stop that is unacceptance. That's the only thing that's going to stop it. Unacceptance stops outright belligerence. Unacceptance stops outright belligerence. That means that if you don't accept the motherfucker being belligerent, he ain't gonna do it out in public. He'll be belligerent in certain circumstances, but just willy-nilly all over the place now. Because you know that shit ain't tolerated. And even if you are a bully or a tough guy or some shit like that, you still take heed to that shit because there's always somebody tougher than you. So that's the only way we're gonna stop these dysfunctions is stop accepting it. Stop buying into it. You know, if you don't want your kids to mutilate themselves and turn themselves into some type of abomination when they grow up, then you got to stop accepting everything that they fucking feel they have to go through. I'm telling you, man, if kids ain't got nothing positive to say about themselves, they'll make up something negative to say about themselves. Yeah, they'll make it up. You know what they say about telling a lie? Say it enough and it becomes the truth. See, and this is a teaching. Uh, this is a teaching method that psychiatrists know is something that people are susceptible to. Psychiatrists know this because they're teaching people how to perform these things. Just like a magician is the first psychiatrist. A magician taught people mentalism. Yeah, mentalism was used to create illusions, sleight of hand. See, so the progression is the magician became a psychiatrist, or the magician was a psychiatrist who learned how to trick people's way of thinking, on how to fool the mind. So, just like you have a magician's guild, you also have a psychiatrist guild. You have a psychiatric guild, you know, and in this guild, they train adepts and novices to perform these things. Because, to tell you the truth, it is a necessity to learn this stuff. It's a necessity for them to learn this and to perform it on people, unsuspecting people. Because what it does is it promotes free will. See what I'm saying? It promotes free will. It's training, it's conditioning people to do what's right all the time. It's like putting a piece of candy on a counter and saying you can eat it, but it would make me sad if you do. You see what I'm saying? Hey, Bank. Yeah, tattoos is a form of dysphoria, bro. And the more tattoos you got, the worse the illness is. Yeah, that's why guys don't stop at just one tattoo. They try to get sleeves and shit because their illness is taking over. It's getting more progressive. And see, this the whole problem with this is self gratification, is being able to pat yourself on the back. Society makes people feel like you can't pat yourself on the back. You can't be proud of yourself because that's considered arrogance. No, that's not. That's not considered arrogance. That's not considered arrogance. Religion teaches that God is a jealous God. In order to be jealous, you got to have some type of arrogance because you got to believe that you're better than anybody out there, and why should they worship them when they have me? See, so they teach these things, but then they also turn around and say blasphemous shit about it. That should let you know that it's a con. That it's a con, that they're teaching you the shit to confuse your psyche by later on telling you, yeah, but pride is one of the 7 deadly sins. Like, motherfucker, but I'm supposed to be, proud of my kids, proud of my heritage, proud of my God, and all this shit, but I can't have pride in myself? That's backwards ass shit. That Banks was like, I got my tats to honor the family. Yeah, let's show that, bro. That's cool. That's cool. As long as I feel like if if you have a goal, you know what I'm saying, and you accomplish the goal, and you satisfy the urge, you know what I'm saying? But it seems like motherfuckers can't accomplish the goal or satisfy the urge when it comes to tattoos and piercings. Look how far it gets out of control in some motherfuckers. And this is like, it's when does it become a culture? How many motherfuckers have to do it before it becomes a culture? And this is what I'll be looking at, because it seems like it is becoming a culture. It's becoming a fad that's contagious. Yeah, that you have to enjoy the pain to be able to take it, to be able to get the tattoo. You know, if you have a set, if you have a set achievement that you want to reach, a goal, and it's based off of an ideology of yours, meaning that you believe that this is what's right for your, well-being, mentally and physically, then yeah, tattoos is the way to go. If you think that that's gonna progress your abilities, yes. But when it becomes an obsession, it's a thing that becomes a sickness. Because if you look at some of these people that put all these tattoos on them and shit, man, you can't tell where one ends and one begins. I mean, like, what the fuck is going on here? I can't tell where it ends. It's just like one big ass ink blot. And then sometimes they do that. They'll just black out an entire section of their body. You ever seen shit like that? Does it mean that they don't want to see that part of their body? That they hate that part of their body? Or is it because they just wanted to destroy a natural part of themselves, a large natural part of themselves, to where it's typically unrecognizable? Because imagine if you were, it's almost like playing like a Grand Theft Auto game in third person. I think that's the way people see themselves, not only in their dreams, but also in reality. It's crazy, man. Because I'll be looking at these people, man, and I'll be like, God damn, at what point did decide to just go here? Look at this shit. At what point do you be like, God damn, I done went too fucking far? You know, I think it's well before what I'm about to show y'all. Why is this shit not coming up? Here we go. Check this shit out. This cat right here. To this cat right here. Bro, at what point do you get where you like, whoa, if I move beyond this threshold right here, I'm going to be looking like something that I never can fucking imagine? How does that become exciting to you? That's why I think it's a mental illness. You got to be mental to change this, to change into this. Look at this shit, man. And look, for people to accept it as what's enabling the illness, it's almost pacifying it, reassuring people that this is acceptable. That is so demented, which makes it demonic. Yeah, I mean, shit, you saying it nice. He might be a little slow. Shit, that motherfucker ain't a little slow. He ain't even moving. See, this is the mental de-evolution that I was talking about in physical form. This is not just a mental de-evolution. This is a physical one that he's tried to put himself through. And it's because he probably honestly believes this is his true identity. You know what I'm saying? This is not, in actuality, he believes his true identity is what he's made his body look like. But in actuality, it's because he hated who he was before he did this. Right now, he's in a state of denial right now. That's what I think he's in, man. Because there's no way you can believe that this shit, get the fuck out of here, nigga. What the hell is this? At what point are you like, God damn? You know what I'm saying? How you go from this cat right here, look, little pretty boy right here, to fucking, you know, the Swamp Thing and shit. You know, the Toxic Avenger or some shit. How you go to that, from that? And then old girls even. I mean, shit, man, this is beyond crazy. This right here, this is beautiful, beautiful. To go to this shit, motherfucking plastic Angelina Jolie. God damn, at what point do you get where you say, damn, I done went too fucking far. I got a problem. You don't just double down and just fucking make your whole face plastic. Nah, nigga. That means that if people don't realize what inhibitions are like gold nuggets, man, in a pile of rubble. They're very valuable, man. If you give up your inhibitions, man, it's like giving up crypto, Bitcoin when it was at its highest mark, like giving away a Bitcoin. That's what it's like when it was at its highest point. That's what inhibitions are. So when you give up this inhibition to control this aspect of you, you never get it back, seem like. I mean, this is like to the point of no return. God damn, nigga. I wouldn't even fucking videotape. I wouldn't want to see myself in this position, let alone this one. God damn. My dude, what? Oh, shit. Boy, I swear. And look, that's not a, who here believes that that's not a goddamn, that's not a dysphoria. Who here thinks that that's not a dysphoria? I would say not only is it dysphoria, I would think it was delusional too. To think that that is what you're supposed to look like. I mean, when you get to this point, same thing with the lizard dude, with cutting off his nose. That's the point right there where you should be strapped down in electroshock therapy. I'm telling you, it's time to reset the mainframe. It's time to data dump all that bullshit. Oh, hell yeah, she's done. She's done. I don't think you can reverse that and go back to normal. Yeah. I don't think she can handle reversing it in the first place. I mean, because look at the expression on her face. To want to look like that all the time, you got to feel like that all the time. Yeah, I feel you, man. Doctor. The doctor got to be fucking a mad scientist around this bitch. To be like, yeah, I think I could probably do a little bit more to your fucking face. I think I can cut a little bit more around the eyes, you know what I'm saying? Maybe a little on them nose ends and shit. You know, maybe I can cut the lids back a little bit more, just a little bit more, you know. You can get away with that, yeah. You gonna fuck around and take that bitch to the point where she gonna look like Red Skull off of fucking Hydra in fucking in Captain America. That's the female version, dog. Hell, Hydra. Nigga, that's Hell Hydra right there. Nigga, that is crazy, bro. That is so fucking crazy, nigga. I'm not even lying, bro. This is who that bitch is, dog. That bitch is Red Skull, nigga. And that's a damn shame, man. You know, the doctor, right, who encouraged her should be he should be fucking lose his license, man. Get the fuck out of here. That's the mate for Red Skull and Hydra and shit. Straight up, bro. See, that's the big version because they got lips. See, the male version don't got lips. Look at that shit. El Hydra. Right? And you know, in the movie, in the comics, the way he got like this was from a parasite that they put inside of him. And it fucked him up like that, gave him superhuman strength and control his mind and shit. I wonder if that did the same thing to her. I wonder if they put a parasite in her face. God damn, dog. What the fuck you did your shit to yourself for? That ain't no modification, nigga. That's a mutilation. That's a damn shame, man. Yeah, that is a damn shame. Look at this motherfucker right here. Straight from fucking Panther's lab. That's Cheetor, nigga. That's Cheetor right there. I mean, what? Look how he acting. He acting like he is top, like he is legitimately the motherfucking shit. I bet his mom, every time she see that motherfucker on video, she just busts out crying. I mean, look what my baby did to himself. Look at this. Ain't nothing I can do to bring him back from that shit. You know, and not to mention the damage that's probably occurring from all that ink in his kidneys. You see what I'm saying? He probably at a viscosity of about, 5W30, five pints of blood and 30 pints of fucking or ink, nigga. 30 pints of ink to 5 pints of blood. He had 5W30 around this bitch. His viscosity is low because he didn't put all that shit in the natural order of things. I mean, he don't even look like he's sweating normal. I mean, my man, I wonder what he's saying. He looked like he is speaking some real shit. $15 grand to fuck up your life. He paid $15,000 to fuck up his life. I wonder what point he got to. Was it the money? I mean, I wonder at what point would he be like, man, the average person would be like, that was sane, would be like, man, I'm at $3,000 in tattoos. Maybe I should fucking stop this shit. He was like, nah, I'm doubling down on that shit. No, matter of fact, I'm tripling down. No, I'm quadrupling down. No, I'm fifth down on that shit. We getting a 15 grand, bitch. He probably still trying to find ways to implant shit in his body to get the price up even higher. 300,000 pesos? Man, come on, bro. That is not fucking... It is not normal. Not normal at all, bro. And see, this is the craze, man. I don't see. She done tattooed her eyes, got teeth extensions, and I guess the object is to look like a werewolf or something. You know, she even got the elf ears and shit. But you could tell, look at their eyes. The eyes don't even react normally. You know how you see somebody that's demented, that they don't have the same normal natural blinking mechanisms as regular people? They emphasize certain things that bring that they can't help but show the abnormality of their behaviors. And that's what I think this is, man. I mean, because not knowing what she's saying, right? It looks weird what she's doing. You see what it is? It looks weird what she's doing. But when you put the sound to it, see? Without the song, that's delusional behavior. You know, that's delusional behavior, man. Look at that shit. I would be afraid to wake up and see something like that. I would be afraid to wake up and see some shit like that. I would be like, whoa, what the fuck? I can't get used to this. You know what I'm saying? I can't get used to seeing you like this. I would be like, something gotta change, man. I can't, you gotta wear glasses to bed, sunglasses to bed. I can't be looking at them fucking eyes. Hell no. I can't. Bro, I would, yes. And then imagine as you age, all that smooth skin turn wrinkle. And them teeth get loose and all that shit. And them eyes get weary. And it just, damn, bro. If you can get past the face, if you get past all the other shit, yeah. You can concentrate on the titties. Hell yeah. I feel you. You know what I'm saying? But still, it's crazy, man, because we do shit like this, Tyson. God damn, man. This nigga cut off his finger. You know? And look, they training him at a young age. Hell yeah. Hell yeah, she should go to jail. Bro, what is that? And the motherfucker that's doing it should go to jail. That's child abuse, man. If the shit is real, that's child abuse. That is fucking child abuse. I don't think that shit's real though. I don't think that's real. Either way, that kid gotta grow up with that shit. And she think because he's young that he's gonna grow with his body and be the same. Nah, that ain't real. I can't believe that's real. That ain't real. Yeah, that ain't real. Yeah. That picture on his stomach don't even look real. It don't look like the same picture. It changed the shit. But still, exploiting your child like that is still bad though. Because you know it shows that you don't care that they gotta live their life. You know? Back in the day when a motherfucker draw on your face, it was disrespect. Now it's art, nigga. Put that shit right over your face. My son got a tattoo on his face, man. And I was like, I said, nigga, you know, you look at Mike Tyson when he got older, how that shit started looking. That tribal tattoo that looked cool at first when he was younger when he got it. But as he started getting older, that nigga looked like a damn a two-legged bulldog with wrinkled up ass skin over there on the side of his face. That shit didn't look cool no more. See, this right here, man, by putting this shit on your face, you're saying that I am, or when you're putting this shit on your body, you're saying that I am improving something that was imperfect. Yeah. That's what it's like saying. Like saying the side of my head wasn't perfect until I put these fucking letters on it. Yeah, this is them taking them off and shit. Because they realize, man, you can't fucking have that shit on your face. God damn. Look at that motherfucker right there. That's the motherfucking homunculus right there. See how it just keeps getting worse? Look at this shit. It just keeps getting worse. It just keeps getting worse. See, look, not goddamn, bro. What the fuck? See, she the wrong person to be out in the places where they're using them directed energy weapons. She gonna be the first one. Her head gonna pop like a pimple. They gonna turn that bitch on. It's gonna be like, pew. Well, we know why she got hit. See, and now what point you say, is this enough? Is this enough? Yeah. Yeah, man. That's crazy. Old Tyson. Look, see the tat on his face? Hey, I bet you, man, I wish I could find some. Let me see if I can find some Tyson. Let's see his podcast. Oh, what the fuck? Oh, he still got it. But you notice on this podcast, right? He sits sideways and shit. Let me see if I can find. See how he's in the interview with Mike he embarrassed of that shit. He embarrassed of that shit. He be like, get my good side. So he sits sideways and shit. That's crazy, man. He likes sitting on the. Hold on, here we go. Here we go. Mike Atai, son. Let's check out. I don't want to hear that shit, man. Is it the trend? Is he always sitting on the left hand side? Or for us, the right hand side? Is it a trend? Is that purposely done? Is he trying to hide that side of his face? I think that's what it is, man. Mike Tyson's ashamed with that fucking tattoo on his face, man. Yeah, he's ashamed of that shit. He even prefer motherfuckers to videotape him on that side. But look how that shit look. It's good while it lasted, Mike. Good while it lasted. Great while it lasted. Yep. Man, I'm going on 3 hours, yo. I'm about to go get me something to eat. I gotta feed my pups. So, yo, I'm gonna wrap it up here. Nobody come up, man. You know, nobody came up and sparred with your boy. You know, no verbal judo fights today. Just kind of shot the shit, talked about some wild stuff. You know, I'm going to talk more about that communication stuff too, as well. Especially getting back to the omnipresent. That you can experience the omnipresent right now, though, too, as well. Remember, it's the highest form of technology that we've ever achieved. Yep. Right now, we don't have technology that can exceed that. We don't even have technology that can exceed telekinesis. They're trying, and clairvoyance. They're trying to create that. That's why they're creating AI. AI is a form of internet clairvoyance. You tell me a voice or a message can be typed into a message bar and an answer can come from and explain shit that's all over the internet at one time. It doesn't matter what you ask. It's giving you information from the internet. That's clairvoyance. That's what they would call a psychic ability, when you can take something and resolve it from your innate understanding of reality. For instance, it's like a professional car driver can tell you an engine has a problem. Even a professional mechanic, just by listening to it, can tell you if the number 2 rod on the fucking piston was bent or some shit like that. Which lifter, which spark plug is going out. They can hear shit like that. That's how in tune they are with this shit. And that's how in tune we were before we start dumbing ourselves down to become more technologically advanced. Remember, anything you have to utilize outside of yourself is a tool, and all tools are primitive. A cell phone has the same equivalent value as a hammer or a club. It still transfers energy, but the energy you're transferring on a cell phone is sound. The energy you're transferring in that hammer and that club is brawn. You see what I'm saying? So it's still a medium and a transfer of energy. So my thing is that I don't fear Neuralink. I don't think I would participate in it, but I also wouldn't object to other people doing it. You know what I'm saying? Just like I don't object to anybody taking a jab. I wouldn't do it. But I don't know. Hey, if you want to do it, go ahead. Shit. It's your body. It's your choice. You can do whatever the fuck you want to do with it. Ain't got nothing to do with me. Yeah, I'll feel a certain kind of way about it. But at the end of the day, I got to respect the fact that you made that decision for yourself. Even if you were persuaded or coerced, you still made the decision for yourself. And that's what a lot of the talks are going to right now when it comes to talking about, the past 3 years on, is there ever going to be a form of reparations for people that felt like they were forced to go through some shit like that. And they debating on whether or not it is, or whether or not it was just, you did it to yourself. Oh, well, move on. Take these little subsidies and move the fuck on. So that's what it's looking like. Don't look like there's going to be a consensus around the board, because you still got people that's saying that it's the right choice. As long as they believe that it had a possibility of being the right choice, they're gonna never demonize it. It's gonna take way more people to die in order for everybody to admit that it was meant to kill. So the whole object is self-preservation. We have to be able to discern what's healthy for us and what's not. We worrying about trivial shit like diet. Diet doesn't have anything to do with I'm sorry. It don't have anything to do. Now, certain things in your diet can help you with your health, but I don't think eating a bunch of vegetables is going to make you any healthier than eating a bunch of meat, or vice versa. I think they both work in the same way. Is what's in the vegetables and what's in the meat is what causes the conflict, the problem. And it's usually caused when both the meat and the vegetables are uncooked. See, so uncooked vegetables in this day and age are unhealthy. You know, we have penicillin, or antibiotic resistance bacteria. It's because the bacteria that's now out that they're calling the new streptococcus is a new form of bacteria, well, a newly discovered form of bacteria that actually eats yeast and candida. Because that's what penicillin causes. Penicillin creates candida and yeast in your blood, in your body. And these parasites are feeding off of that. You know, that's like the delicacy of choice right there for them. So when we're recognizing that we gotta be unpersuadable in situations that involve our well-being. We gotta be unpersuadable. Like if you say you don't feel that you need to take something or do a certain procedure, that needs to be respected as word is bond. You know what I'm saying? It shouldn't be compromised. And the only way it's gonna stop being ignored, because a lot of elderly people go through this. They can refuse a treatment, and the healthcare provider will still perform it on them against their will, against their wishes. Because they feel like they have, a an innate authority over the 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 reality of these elderly people. I mean, you got to look at it the way it's actually happening. Elderly people are forced to take medications. They can't leave the home by themselves. They are literally prisoners. And in what reality is it cool to fucking grow up as a kid and never go to jail, then end up being an elderly person locked up? What kind of cruelty is this? And let's look at it. If you are a criminal at a young age and you get locked up, then you get out, you realize what you did wrong, and you want to live a normal life, you ultimately prison the pipeline right back into that bitch when you're elderly. You see what I'm saying? You might as well not forget the ropes. Now you're just a little older, rooster out in the yard and shit. But I look at this and I see the people that it affect the most, man, are people that want to be recognized as some type of conqueror of misfortune. Back in the day, the old people used to tell us stories about how they had to walk around in the snow and all that shit and all these miles. And I used to think to myself, man, these guys must have been superhuman. They must have been, powerful. And then as you grow up, you realize the story was a lie. Because it was not necessary for them to walk around in the snow like that. Especially when there's cars that are available. So the story about you walking around in the snow wasn't you being stranded in the snow. It was you visiting a snowbank and fucking getting your image taken, and a video of you being taken, and talking about how you've actually overcame some shit. But It's weird, man. It's weird. We gotta keep pushing it. We gotta keep pushing, and we gotta cut loose this baggage, man. You know, when you lighter on your feet, the swifter you move, man. When you're not being weighed down by all this unnecessary luggage and shit, right? Because when you carry the load of everybody you associate with, especially when you calling them your family and shit, you put their burdens on your back. You worry about them and shit, and if they go through a conflict, you feel compelled to put yourself through the conflict too, unless it's unhonorable. For instance, if one of your relatives get into a fight against your best and understanding knowledge, you jump in it anyway, you know, and you stump the motherfucker out, or you beat him up, or whatever you do to him. It was initiated by somebody that you hold dear to you, that you consider in your circle. So that's the shit I'm talking about. We as individuals need to be able to say, no, thank you. I'm cool. Thanks for asking, and move the fuck on. Yeah. Don't indulge the virtue signal. You know, motherfuckers talking about, I made this drink. Go ahead. This was yours. And you be like, nah, man, I'm cool. And they be like, what? You don't trust me? See, why is that even a question if trust was something you were trying to acquire? You know why? Because you're untrustworthy. If you got a fear that somebody doesn't trust you, if you got a fear that somebody don't trust you, then you need to reevaluate your entire premise of life and shit. You got to, man. You got to reevaluate that shit. So I don't think you can ever, truly be part of a group if you ain't truly an individual. Because an individual in a group gonna come with no preconceived notions. He gonna come there saying that this is what I can do, this is what I have to offer, what y'all got. That's what an individual gonna do. And he ain't gonna waste time with pacifying a motherfucker that really don't have anything to offer but want to contribute. It's too late for all of that shit. It's always been too late for that shit. There is no such thing as safety in numbers. There's never been safety in numbers. I mean, look at the stories they tell us about the Holocaust. You had 6 million Jews. 6 million Jews should have been able to fight off an army of 300,000 men. I think that's an unrealistic statement to say that 300,000 men killed 6 million men and women. I think that's some weird shit to say, and to actually look at what it is. So, safety of numbers, man. I don't see how that's beneficial to people. And when I hear people talk like that, all I hear is that you're weak and you need other weak motherfuckers with you to make you strong. It's almost like that. Niggas love doing the multiverse analogies. I don't like doing it because I don't like feeding into, the stereotypical shit. But it's just like when you are first learning to walk, all right, and you got other people around you learning to walk, and everybody's grabbing on to each other, and everybody's pulling each other down, trying to hold themselves up, and you don't want to engage that, so you stay in your bassinet until Everybody go to sleep so you can practice walking on your own. That's the power of individuality. The drive to control and perfect something that is controllable and capable of being perfected. So when I look at shit like that, I thank my lucky stars that I'm what people would call, a recluse or isolationist. You know, we were talking the other night about segregation, how they flipped the script on segregation, how they making us think that segregation is bad when segregation is actually part of the natural order of things. I mean, the only way you get a cross species mating or conception situation is if some cognitive being interfered with the natural order of things, because nature in itself is segregation. Yeah, you can tell the difference between the trees and the grass. You can tell the difference between stones and sand, or clay and dirt. These things are like that. That's why most times when you dig down in the ground, you see layers of shit, because those layers is segregated sediment that's partitioned and stacked on top of one another. It's order. See, it's order. But see, what they're trying to get is, they're not trying to get order, right? They're not trying to achieve order, maintain it, and control it. They're trying to break order with chaos. So they teach us silly shit. Not they. We are taught silly shit. And we can be taught by anybody or anything. So it's a form of thinking, a mentality that very few people have the ability to break away from. And if you ever want to test and find out if you're actually being manipulated by it like this, you should ask yourself some fundamental questions. There's fundamental questions that you should ask yourself, right? Is, no matter how big an object is in the sky, as long as it's above me, it will shine. You should ask yourself shit like that. No matter how big an object is in the sky, as long as it's close to me, it'll shine. And if it doesn't, then it's not something that belongs in the sky. For instance, at night, a plane that flies by in the sky is identifiable by its blinking lights or by its constant lights. So it's actually saying that's what the entire process of like total global annihilation. You know what I'm saying? That's the whole goal, is to get you not to believe that it could happen on a subtle basis. That it takes something like an atomic bomb or thousands of atomic bombs to create destruction, when in actuality, all that it takes is a mindset, and enough people with that mindset to have a significant change in the outcome of things. I mean, if you haven't paid attention over the past 4 years, we've gone through so many phases of understanding, dealing with gender, dealing with sex, dealing with shit, dealing with so many things, man. And I think the reason why people fucking have such a hard time is because they be They can't let shit go, man. They can't let it go. They can't let shit go. For instance, we can't look how long it took some people to let go the stuff they were taught in school about space. And it's still you got people that will not let it go. It's like they will not let it go. It's like a tooth that they do not want to get pulled. It has a big ass cavity in it, and they don't want it to be pulled. You know, it's weird, man. You're right, Chief. It is. I be sometimes this shit. I just be thinking about stuff, and I just start talking about it and shit. But that's when I start tapping in. Right now, I'm going on, you know, a shitload of hours without sleep. So I'm about to get ready to, when I do get ready to go to sleep, oh man, it's gonna be a crazy ass experience. You know, it's gonna be one of them dreams that is gonna be memorable. It's not gonna be no, you know, one of them third person dreams. Cause see, when you stop dreaming in third person, you start dreaming in first person. Oh, bro, it's way realer. It's like, I think what's the name was calling it. It's like deja vu. Because if you see some of the stuff in your dreams through third person, you're seeing it as if somebody else is doing it. But if you see it in your dreams as a first person, man, you can control what that first person is doing. I remember when I first started dreaming like that, it was weird because I thought I was awake. I was like, shit, man, did I not go to sleep? Am I awake? And I'm walking around and then I start seeing weird shit, like a tidal wave coming towards me. But the bitch would never come up on shore. It was just out there in the ocean, a big ass tidal wave, like a continuous threat. Like it was saying, run, motherfucker, run, motherfucker. But since I wasn't in third person, I wasn't afraid of it. So I just carried on with what I was doing. Like, damn, that's a big ass wave. And then that's when I realized I was dreaming. Yeah. And see, that's what motherfuckers is doing. I heard a couple people talk about they having OBEs. Ain't no such thing as fucking OBEs, out of body experiences. You're not leaving out of body, nigga. If you're leaving out of body, that means you're dying. You dead. You're not leaving out of body. See, what you might be doing is when you are floating above yourself, you're in that third person avatar state. And you're looking at yourself, or who you perceive as yourself, that's out of control. See, and that happens sometimes when you indulge too much in, you know, alternative practices other than trying to do it the safe way, stressing yourself out. Stress is a helpful way to help you. Salutes, Q. Humbling. Sorry, I was just looking at the chat, man. I just now looked at the chat. But stress, man, can actually help you refine yourself. When I don't mean like worry stress, I mean like stress, like if you're in a push-up position and you go halfway down and you keep it there, that'll build your tolerance to fatigue and ultimately give you the perception of endurance. So what stress I'm talking about is the one when you do like you do deprivation training. So sleep deprivation training is a way to actually teach yourself how to deal with true exhaustion, what I think is true exhaustion, and deal with some type of relaxing or meditative rest. Because there's a difference between sitting Indian style and laying down. It's both meditation, sleep is, but there's a difference between sitting and laying down. I mean, that might even bring some, some credence to the term, grounding and shit. Because when you laying down, your entire body is flush with the ground. So that might be something that's allowing you to be able to slip beyond that, slip below that veil. That's the shit I'll be trying to get with. And it's like this: if you don't use it, you lose it. If you don't practice it, it becomes atrophying. So salutes, K-Dub. I just looked at the chat. What the hell? Who an old bastard? That's a damn shame. I'll put the link in the chat. So it's pinned to the top if y'all want to come up. I'm about to get ready to get up out of here. It's almost 4 hours. But I still got some more shit to say because I haven't touched on it yet. I want to say this right here about the religious aspect of Christianity. I don't think that this shit actually needs to be like taught to us. I think it was meant for us to go and mistakenly misinterpret this shit so we can eventually come to the true understanding of it. Now, when we're talking about this shit with dreams and how to control them, it's the same thing with religion, I think. I think when we start worshiping in religion, we have this idea, this image in our mind on what we think salvation is. The good thing about controlling your dreams is that you come to the realization that whatever you can create in your dreams makes you the creator. So if you creating shit in your dreams, let's say chaos, that makes you the creator of chaos, the chaos bringer and shit. But if you just reacting to your environment and you have full and total control of shit, like anything that comes at you, you can choose what type of method of dealing with it. That's the shit I be liking, where you can choose the method of dealing with something, because most people can't choose how they deal with something. If you in your dreams and somebody's shooting at you, you wish you had a gun, not you wish you could dodge all the fucking bullets. That's the shit I be trying to do. I don't be looking for a gun. I be trying to dodge the fucking bullets. Because if I can do it in my dreams, there's a possibility I can do it in reality. So, I be trying to tap into shit like that, because I've actually done shit in my dreams that I can do in real life. For instance, gymnastics. I could do gymnastics in my real life. So other shit like building, growing shit. I used to dream that I was growing plants in my backyard because I always wanted to grow shit. But I never could figure out how to grow shit. It never worked out for me in reality. And it was like a recurring dream every time. And I was always in the dream trying to get to a point where I can see what I did in the dream in order to achieve that greatness, so I can try to implement the same thing in reality. Now that's another way of the potential of controlling your dreams too, because you can actually learn shit in your dreams that's really useful in real life. Like I listen to people talk about, it's the luck of the draw. It's, right place, right time and all that shit. But in actuality, if you saw yourself in that position, it's not the luck of the draw. It was actually something you were striving for and you found a way to achieve it. So that's what I'm trying to do in the dream thing. And this dream I'm going to have, when I can tell too, it's going to be a good one. It's going to be a good one. I can tell when I'm about to have a good a good rest meditation. It's almost like there's a certain way things taste too as well. Like you ever been so exhausted that shit don't even taste the same? It has this weird ass flavor to it. And then when you get some sleep and you finally get some rest, it seems like, oh shit, I was just going through some shit at that time. That's why I felt like that. Yeah, you're right, Humlin. I'm trying to stretch this shit out to 4 hours, but it ain't working. So I'm about to cut out. You're right. So y'all have a good one, man. But don't forget. They call
me a god. They call me a god. They call me a god. They call me a god.
Let's go.
I'm out, y'all. I'm gonna holler at y'all next time. And don't trust nobody. Believe in yourself. Do your own thing. Salutes. Peace.